a lot of potential to surprise us, I have a feeling.
I do think so. I also do want to point out, though, that this is going to be one of the first times that we do dictate potentially a change in pace for a lot of these teams. We've highlighted Falcons in particular for their aggression. I don't know if they get away with it in the same way that the rest of these kind of elim rosters, and even in the winners round, who we've discussed, have been able to capitalize on.
Well, let's take a look at what our talent think who's going to win from our talent's perspectives. We've had a lot of fun with that one. You know, it's been a couple of good days for me. Will that continue, though? This is where it always starts to get interesting because the Falcons are my pick. I feel like I picked them once here on main stage. They had a pretty subpar game. They actually ended up now in eliminations, but they've dominated those elimination rounds that they've been in. Will that continue? Aurora, TSM from you, Dan. Good shot for them.
Probably not, because I've picked them. I'm going to be completely honest. 220 points. I've kind of cursed everyone. Both me and Jameson have really been ruining everyone's day. And I'm about to ruin everyone's prediction.
Oh, God.
Hey.
Oh, no. I mean, it's just bad. You're not excited about this. Competitive Apex, though, are we going to get the Jamerson curse? Will it be the gift of vision from Rain Day so far, or will it be obviously the TSM Dan Gaskin curse that applies? We'll find out. Let us know who you think is going to win. And while you're in chat typing who you think is going to take the dub, you get a chance to earn some Twitch drops. Hotline Volt skin was yesterday. Our Red Zone Pathfinder was Thursday. It's Saturday, baby, so you've got the incoming sticker. Just watch 30 minutes and you can claim that. It's a beautiful aspect of what we've got going on. Sunday, also blue napkin. That's going to be exciting as well. It's one of those things when you look at this open where you start a day, you've got all these lobbies, and everyone has shown a little bit of a moment of greatness. They've also shown a moment of weakness, and now you get to see which is going to take over the narrative. That's what I love about this open. Will Falcons kind of show up on main stage again and throw a dud out? I don't know. Will it end up being Complexity who bounced back from that disappointing loss from main stage last night and find a way to do it? Will we see, you know, teams? I think another team that's kind of been in a position where I'm like, why are we not talking about Na'Vi? I mean, this is a team that is so good. These are our previous world champions, Jamerson, and yet it's so difficult to find them here in this elimination round facing a chance to go home.
No, there were definitely plenty of names where it felt like, oh, we're not talking about them enough. And it's just because so many other rising stars have basically risen to the top, right? Team Liquid Alienware was definitely one of them. We weren't talking about them until we're like, wait, Team Liquid Alienware are about to get knocked out.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what we've got. The talent here in the open is expansive, it's exciting, and now it is engaged because they know that eliminations are right around the corner. Guys, it's time to get it going. Series 1 is about to begin, and with that, we need to hit our casters up.
10 teams will be walking away here in this elimination bracket, and not only that, Genome, I mean, you have to play 18 total games today. If you're looking at this lobby in general, even if you proceed through as a top 10 teams, it's still 18 games to go through.
And for quite a lot of the teams here, Vicky, they played 18 yesterday, right? We were, you know, I was having a bit of a chat to Falcons before. They were definitely feeling it. 18 games in a ranked session, that's a long day of Apex. 18 games at top level Apex, I reckon it takes something like double the amount of energy to play at this level. You are so intense, you're so locked in, you're coming hard, you're thinking strategically, as well as having to be, you know, need perfect mechanics really to keep up with the kind of players we've got on the stage. And just looking around at the teams and the names that we've got here, it doesn't even feel like an elimination bracket. I mean, this is insane. We're at top 60 still. There's still 60 teams left at this LAN. And already you've got teams like Falcon, Aurora, Team Liquid, Na'Vi sitting down here in the elimination bracket. Crazy.
It's insane. You talked about 18 games of ranked. I mean, imagine playing 18 games of high-level Apex in a lobby like this with professionals. It's going to be a grueling day. I know we've all been there, right? When you're trying to grind it out, playing 18 total games. Imagine how you feel at the end of the day. Now imagine turning that up 10 times harder as we start our first game on E-District. Expecting a lot of Ultra to come through here too, of course. We've been seeing that Legend be that mainstay key for a lot of these teams to find that success. You saw the little hint there of where these zones are going to be pulling to. Complexity are going to be very happy with this, considering that they're POI being in City Hall. They have the survey beacon. They have the ring console to work off of. Zesty Bessies are already making their move, as well as in Resort, FWG having that ring console too.
And Black Ricky coming into contact soon. with Gaming Gladiators. They're just on the other side of this building, and as they go up to try and hit that survey beacon, presumably that is the option. They've taken the recon perk for Alta. Yes, they will actually see them going up on the zip line. Can they grab a knock before they manage to get away? No, does look like GG get out just fine. They'll take the shields off Lupka, but that's not enough to worry them for now. GG pull up into City Hall here. Do manage to find a position that they can play and fortify with the Catalyst.
There's already 8 teams, by the way, already in this next circle. Squads quick on their rotate, considering that in a zone like this, there's a lot of space to coexist in. And since we have an even spread between Alter and Catalyst, you know that there's going to be a lot of shenanigans for the teams that could share these buildings, trying to go for the kidnap with the Alter Void Passage. TSM, one of the teams in that next zone, already making their next move. Going to be able to ping that care pack, get the extra Evo charge. It's insane. You have TSM, Liquid Alien, where Falcons already in this Elim bracket, like you highlighted, Genome. The stakes are high. Complexity finding their spot in their respective POI. Team Orchid neighboring them in that building.
Yeah, Team Awkward. Did I just say awkward? No. Anyway,
Orchid.
Look, Orchid. Might be the Australian in me. They got Energy Bank as a pick. Incredibly helpful. Access to beacons, but most importantly, you very often, I think it's maybe something like half of the time, you'll get 2 Evo Harvesters within your POI in Energy Bank. So you're almost never going anywhere without blue armor, and you're further on the way to purples than almost any other team, as well as being central and having, you know, great rotation options. It's just an incredibly powerful POI, and as we say that, the star player of Team Orchid, oh my god, I really need to get that out of my head. Is in an awkward position. That's what I meant. Taking some 30-30 hits there from Heroes.
One of my favorite flowers, by the way. Maybe not so favorite for Panic, who fell at the hands of Easy Flash Kid. Heroes already getting some early KP on the board, while Team Orchid have that Crypto Drone flying around to see what they could do here, get the information, while the other teammate is going to be able to try to reposition. Because Omit are on the other side, while Heroes have this slight high ground. You know that right to the south side of Heroes is going to be YBR, Young Black Ricky, who are uncontested over to that southwestern side of that rotate. But here, the reason why you see so many teams go in for an early rotate too is because these chokeholds on E District could be so brutal if you don't have the right composition.
No, absolutely. I think where these zones tend to end up as well can be quite brutal. It'll usually head towards one of those canals. And so teams just try and play a position that they can look for some kills with early on. Something with just a little bit of safety, as pretty much no one posts up in those sewer positions to start with. Even if you do have the Newcastle wall, getting there too early is just putting yourself in a position where those walls can get shot out and you can get focused down by the other teams moving in. Speaking about moving in, Envy coming in towards 9 Lives. This is all the way over at Galleria, nowhere near where the next zone will be going. And X and Y have actually moved away, so a chance for this to be a pretty isolated fight.
Envy do know that they were there. It was the information that they wanted to seek out in the middle of that rotate, right? Because there was that ring console and survey by Galleria. Na'Vi playing way more patiently, playing still out of Heights before moving through that jump tower that is on the outskirts of Heights, wrapping around 9 Lives. 9 Lives will be able to see them up in the air, but if they do take that northern rotate, which they are, Na'Vi will be able to get that survey beacon, where Envy has also prioritized wrapping around 9 Lives. So that's going to be a fight to check out over on the east side. Zero already getting a knock. Aurora in trouble. The catwall was called in already from Aurora before Walty now moves up. They're looking to get aggressive. They're looking to start up their momentum already after getting that knock.
Yeah, Falcons dropping down. Fight against Aurora. As they do it though, Atlas are sitting in zone in Street Market. That means there's a chance they're going to come in. Falcons getting on the evac. Is that to chase more kills, or is that to go into zone? It's a negative rotate. They're going towards them. Are they aware that Atlas are ahead of them?
I hear the crowd. It may be early, but the energy is here, giving their cheers to Falcons to already kickstart things as Aurora being the first squad to go down in the lobby.
And you know, that's a grudge that goes back a long time. I mean, you go back to the days of these teams contesting each other for months in that scalp early on.
Look at the contention points from that east side. Envy have been is the outskirts of Lotus, where they had an Evil Harvester and a Survey Beacon, but you know what they didn't have? They didn't have a ring console, which is why they had to go out of their way from Lotus to the south side just to make sure where that next circle pool is going to be, and then they will approach that next zone pool from that east side like 9 Lives, like we mentioned earlier. Na'Vi still playing way more passive, going to play objective instead. It's going to be hard, though, once you have to force by X and Y that will be holding that northeastern side.
Okay, that's the ping onto the ring for them. Playing for third beacon can be a smart one. That said, I don't think it's going to give them a lot of help in this situation, Vicky, because even the teams who haven't pinged that ring console are basically sitting within the third ring. They might not have the direct information, but they have guessed correctly.
I will have to mention, aside from the fact that they lost out on Nizul, got to talk to Pistillo just a little bit. They are dreading the 18 upcoming games if they stay alive in this lobby in the top 10. Grueling. They have to play, they have to keep on point. So we take a look at Complexity, who hold that high ground of the second floor building. Opportunity of space from the other teams in the distance, but they are one of the teams also running the altar, so you know with that altar passive, you know that Funk is going to be able to get the extra loot that they need out of the death boxes once they start appearing in front of them.
Yeah, look, sitting center zone, having an opportunity to ping people at long range. Sadly, Monsoon only able to get a triple take with a 2x there, so usually if available to him, he will be on, you know, the Senti, the charge rifle, finding one of those sniper optics to really dial it in and charge up his Evo from long range. Unfortunately, didn't get the loot he would have preferred in this game. FWG, one of our more unknown teams coming into this elimination bracket. I mean, look, they've made it into more than the top half of this LAN, but they've only got 1 life left. That's right, 10 teams will be progressing forward. 10 of these excellent teams that we have in this lobby not making it to the rest of today.
What I really like are the teams that aren't running the Callus are opting for that crypto. We have 4 cryptos in this lobby. Liquid Alienware do see that Void Nexus right in front of them. Gonna be able to try to take care of that, but maybe also indicating to 9 Lives that there could be a squad coming out from the edge of that zone. 9 Lives are gonna be able to try to take that Void Nexus, reposition themselves into that next zone. They have that information, as you could already see, and where it's pulling. Smart from them too. That's what I really like about the plays that we've been seeing so far with the Altar and the Void Nexus. Being able to cover 2 POIs, basically, if you purposely space out these Void Nexuses, is amazing.
Yeah, so look at this. Liquid Alienware are currently in the zone. They hit the double scan, waiting there after that ring 3, after the ring 2 countdown. They hit the survey beacon and the ring console at the same time. It reveals everyone's positions as well as the ring information that almost no one else has. And now they can think about where to go next. Do they have the evac towers? Do they even have the abilities to get in there and get past 9 Lives and Envy though?
Unless they can make some magic happen with the Altar, right, and go for some cheeky rotates. But at least with the survey beacon that they scanned, they know that they were going to get circle kept by 9 Lives and Envy. So they're going to take a much roundabout rotate option outside of zone, while Envy looking to chase right behind 9 Lives, getting a little aggressive, being on full purple. They know they have the advantage with Zap. Getting Bean means that they're going to have to play a little bit more passive here. They don't like the situation that they're looking at. There is no other team that can come in for the third party unless a squad wants to give up their positioning, since they may have the Void Nexus themselves. But is that a risk that they want to take here? So Envy, now noting that they do not want to get gatekept by 9 Lives, are going to be wrapping around to the southeast side. As we had noted, Liquid Alienware doing something very similar, but are going to be going through the choke over to the complete south side of that next zone.
Falcons, they were trying to get in on the west side. We actually saw them take the Void Nexus backwards after taking a little bit too much heat on their approach to the zone. So yes, they did manage to grab 2 KP so far, but it's going to be a very hard road for them. Many teams ahead of them. Now, I really want to see how they're going to approach this entrance into the next zone. Let's listen in.
Let's front right. Like, it's just in front of us. It's in the building. This is open, looks like. Someone's in the bus. They're in the bus. They're playing Watson in the bus. We go building. Go building.
Okay. Following me.
Come me.
Yeah.
Come forward. Come forward to the wall in front of me. Hey.
I'm like 1.
We're good.
I'm gonna get a wall down.
Fuse off.
I'm kidding. Gotta catch up left. Wall's good. No, I think so. Okay, I won't have wall.
Yeah. Team above us. Team above us. Team above us. Start hitting. I'm not used. I'm start hitting.
Have I netted? Nothing.
Yep. 20
30.
blue.
That blues. Making a shot. No with you, Reese. Not with you. Okay, not with you.
Pick it the bus, guys. Ash, fucking fuse Watson.
Fine. Above.
Ultimate height. Ultimate height. I think Q3 we can run the building, I think. Side of the building. Okay, we get inside. We don't have wall though. We don't have wall.
No wall.
How long? Do you yourself?
66. No, he doesn't.
Okay, wait for my second Q. I think we should go.
I mean, I'm with you.
We all have other abilities. Yeah, Q?
Yeah, I have Q.
I do.
Yeah, I have Q.
Yeah, get to like under the building. Alright, ready?
Yeah, fuck it.
Come. Follow.
Yeah,
Right door, guys. Right door.
Yeah,
In right door, guys. It's broke. I'm caveling it. Nice. Break the door. Saving.
Batting. Are they holding? I can't tell.
I'm going right. Come. Yep, coming.
On the right. Careful.
Gotta hold me.
No attack.
I'll play outside.
I'm batting.
Throws him.
Swinging.
Q2.
On me. Cracked him. 150. Play last.
How's the first to go down, though? It was a tricky situation. You heard the way that they were trying to decide to take advantage of the macro. They want to be able to rotate, noting that there was a team above them. You saw Liquid Alienware also looking down at them as well. They lose out on 2 after Hal goes down, so does Waltzy. This just leaves Zero alive. Can he get the reset? That is the question. Hiding right behind Hal's knockdown, getting rid of the cat spike, but Zero's low. He's trying to get right through the building. We know that there's still a team right above him. He's staying alive, keeping the dreams alive for Falcons.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough spot to reset here. I don't think Zero will be able to pull that off, but oh my lord, is he actually going to find
Mate's gonna let it happen
for the revive? Okay, Hal's back up. Anything is possible now. It was a really smart rotation from them. The issue was with the execution when they pushed into the building. I mean, we saw Waltzy there get caught off guard, throwing a grenade as the other team peaked, and it just took too much damage and then eventually went down. But yeah, look, with 2 up, there is a very small chance that maybe they can get the res off or make something happen here. I mean, Zero and Hal together put out about as much damage as a lot of other teams of 3. That said, there's just so many other teams in this building. I think they're going to find it hard to navigate.
I would be curious to see which perk Zero had opted to use on the altar, because it would be really clutch if they don't have a Moby here, considering that they lost the Newcastle within their composition. Also counting their blessings, being able to get that res with Omit being on the other side, Orchid sharing this building, Atlas as well. Complexity. Oh no, Complexity getting taken out. TSM forced their way in, and they're not the only ones too. TSM now in a lot of trouble. Skittlecakes having to go right down, taking advantage of the Void Passage. Duke getting sent down means that they won't have that Newcastle. They're going to be dancing around. Not only the Void Passage, but this squad, Arnev, that are trying to finish them off. They had gotten the initial knock ready, and Monster get eliminated in your feeds too. 13 squads left with so many teams. What, 5 teams in this one building alone?
Yeah, insanity. I mean, there was a boxing ring there, just set up behind the Newcastle wall. Fists coming out, fists flying, and Falcons still in.
Skittlecakes with some help from the ring after getting that knock onto Yuri. Yuri gets finished. You could even see that Zero did not have any shield bats to work with. Lacking on some loot here. Well, Atlas now move up from the height.
Zone closing in on them as well, so Falcons, they can no longer sit in that corner. You see them trying to make some creative rotations here with the Void Passage, but now even Zero goes down and Hal just has to get a catwalk to try and move into the next part of the zone.
And that was after the reset from Team Liquid Alien, where Nuzul getting that finishing blow onto Zero, leaving Hal, the last one, alive. He's only got one bat to work with. He slides out. He looks at Rambo. He doesn't want to take that Void Passage in front of him. Instead, he's forced to take some circle damage. Get out of the path less traveled by. They saw him. They heard him. They had to have heard him. And with one shot of the PK, omit, finish off Falcons. They go down in 10th in this first game.
Didn't look good ahead of him. Tries to find another way into the zone, but no. Every avenue is blocked, and Falcons go down in 9th. They get a few points in the first game, but 9 Lives are the team that is looking good here, separating themselves from the rest of the lobby, not only with the 9 points that they have so far, but also geographically. So many teams are clustered on the edge of that building, and 9 Lives are the ones who stare across at them.
And their POI is coming all the way from the east side of E District to find this spot. Kind of living up to their name, right? Getting 9 total points on the board with the KP that they've managed to secure, as well as the placement points. Gaming Gladiators sharing the shield bats too, while waiting patiently on the edge of this next zone before it starts closing in now.
Look at all of the teams set up here, whether it's behind a Watson pylon or a Newcastle wall. They're feeling safe for the moment, but now as the final round closes, they're going to lose their cover very shortly.
The Watson could come in clutch. There's no more Crypto left in the lobby. The only one was Team Orchid, and they lost their Crypto player here. Something to note. Well, Atlas unleashed the Mother Load. Void Passage trying to take a nice cheeky fight here for Corinthians, but they lost out on ones. The Mother Load, though, putting in so much pressure. Atlas stay alive. Dolphin sliding in with the P20s, leaving that player one shot, dashed in with the Ash, tries to get the reset, but you can't get the res. You have to think about Panic, who was also able to get the reset here too from Team Orchid.
Yeah, we're seeing Team Orchid with Rambo there. But now we've got Liquid Alien where only Nizzle alive. He does actually finish off 9 Lives, so they take over the east side of the zone. And GG, who have been lying in wait, are looking to try and pick off the last 2 members of Team Orchid.
Now Gaming Gladiators, a full 3-man squad slides in here. T-Law trying to reset. Where's the other squad that can get all 3 members back up and alive? Gaming Gladiators have the health advantage, but they don't see if it's worth trying to close in this gap. They put up the catwall instead, splitting this final zone in the middle.
Genius! Look at this. Team Orchid, not only are they split, they're on the same side as Gaming Gladiators. That means that GG can either pick off the solo or just wait for the other 2 teams to cannibalize each other. An incredible catwalk hopefully should give the win to GG here, unless...
GG right now just walking in to clean up what's left for game number 1. They knew it was just a matter of time as they patiently wait for the last 2 teams to collapse before they just walk in and clean up the rest of the KP. Strong start here for Gaming Gladiators.
That is the perfect use of the Dark Veil. So many times in a final zone in Apex, in ALGS, you'll have 3 teams left, and jockeying for position, getting damage isn't the only way to solve your problems. The other thing you could do is force the other 2 teams into a fight. Because we all know that coming in as the last team out of those 3 is the most likely way to put yourself in the winner's position. And that's what GG do with their Dark Veil. They split the zone, they split the attention of the other 2 teams, force it onto each other, and it's an easy cleanup for GG at the end of game 1.
It's a good KP to work with too, right? Like 9 KP, great start for them. They actually also come from their POI by Canal on the north side of E District, so not too much to travel by. As you can see, our match 1 results. I love seeing the fan signs in the crowd. Liquid Alienware, after a really rough start, got the reset, played patiently outside of zone. Still were able to secure 5 KP too for themselves. Team Orchid, another squad that we were following too for some time, only 2 KP for them. 9 Lives popping off. We were noting it before, the KP was 7 KP for their name.
considering they were coming all the way across the map there. Nine Lives have done well for themselves. But yeah, Team Orchid, who have been, in some parts of this tournament, relying on a lot of KP off the back of their big fragging champions. It was the place of points that got them the bulk of their points here in game one. Gosh, every single game is just going to feel like it has so much importance put on it. And the other thing to think, Vicky, is that if any of these teams want to make it through to the match point finals, as we said, they have to play 18 games today, and they can't let up. There is no reprieve. There's no series that they can take off and say, oh, we didn't do so well in this one. Let's go again next time. No, they have to be there every single time and performing, because if they slip, if they make it into that bottom 10, they won't be here tomorrow.
And that's what the flexibility of having to be adjusted around the different map rotation too. You have to be kept on your toes here. You have to keep the momentum running when you're looking at these squads. Liquid already starting off really strong, obviously, here, and it's going to be great to see how Gaming Gladiators continues on their domination on E District. We got game number 2 to you, coming to you soon on the other side of this break.
The return of Area 51, Alienware's highest performance desktop yet, equipped with powerful Intel Core Ultra processors. Innovative architecture designed for ultimate gaming. Engineered to evolve alongside your game. Encounter the legendary Area 51 at Alienware.com.
The human body was built to move. Not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. Ergonomically engineered for you, gamers, hybrid workers, artists, backing your every move.
Red Bull is the official energy partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Let's I need light ammo. 100. Dogs. Thanks, by the way. Thanks. No. I have no ammo, no light. Jump. Motor. They slammed the wall next to us. I'm warning you off the zone. Yeah, that's good. Can you pick it? Yeah, I'm climbing. Give me light ammo. I need light ammo now. Jump. We just chill on me. Let them fight. Climbing. Plus spike. Take my side, guys. Take my side. Coming, guys. I have Q. Chill. One knock. Fighting. Can you pick right side? Pick right side. Picking. On me. Castle one. Cut one. Nice. No. Hit it. Guys, 101. Nice, boys.
Welcome back, everyone, off of a fantastic start for Gaming Gladiators to get the dub for game number 1. And as an update, FaZe won the first game in their lobby with 12 KP. The competition is hot, Genome, and already kickstarting things on E District has showcased how a lot of these squads have been forced out by these insane end zones. A lot of coexisting in some of these buildings in E District.
Yeah, look, we're here in New Orleans for the ALGS Open. We've got the paddle steamers going out there in was that the Mississippi River? I think it was. But yeah, look, talking about picking up steam, it's been Gaming Gladiators who take out that first game with 21 points. They have certainly got a full head of steam here. Full steam ahead. There's just so many So many metaphors we could go there. Anyway, look, 21 points is really solid. It's a great way to start off this, and it honestly puts them more than halfway to where they need to be to advance, right? You know, you need between 5 and 6 points per game on average to make it through. Depends how tight the lobby is, but the fact that they've done that, it just takes so much pressure off you, right? You feel free. You can play the rest of the games however you want. If you're like, hey, let's just go for some kills, because a smattering, you know, a team wipe here and there will get you over the line by the time you get to 6, considering you started off with such a big bag.
Right, like they started already getting 21 points in that dub alone. So a great start here for this team. You heard the comms, let them fight. They put down the catwall, isolating themselves. They knew at that point they just have to walk in and finish off what was left of that fight. As we know, the legend bans after game number 1.
Speaking of the catwall, she is going to be the first legend banned here. And, you know, as we took you through that final zone, right, it was the perfect sort of encapsulation of why so many teams picked her and why she is first banned here, because in those final situations, honestly, it's not the start of the game so much, right? It genuinely just is the end games where she becomes so ultra powerful. It's almost to the point that we saw Gibraltar maybe 2 or 3 years ago, right? And it was like you had more and more teams in those end zones. Just because of the way they worked. They were a lot smaller. If you remember, the final zone was, everyone was jam-packed in there. And that made orbital bombardment one of the best ults in the game. And so everyone picked Gibraltar just because of how much of a factor he was in those final fleeting moments. Catalyst, very much the same now. And as a result, she will be the first out of this lobby.
The ping pong around the legend bans, a new rule that we have here within the ALGS that has provided us such great diversity in these legend comps. No more cat on the board within the next 6 series.
Yeah, and maybe, you know, just for any viewers who have, you know, they've had a hard week at work and they've just tuned into some ALGS for the first time. Yeah, we've got legend bans now, by the way. As we progress throughout the series, the most played legend in every game is going to be removed, and teams will have to change up their composition. It's been an awesome change. As we see at the top of the screen, you can see the ban. Clearly it's happened already. And it's changed the compositions up of everyone in the lobby, or most teams in the lobby. As you can see, a lot more Fuse coming in. That's because they still want access to the ring console that Catalyst was giving them, but they can't choose that character anymore. And then some, they sort of take that and run with it, Vicky. They pair the Ballistic with them. You can see that in a few teams here. He's often been getting banned around maybe, you know, round 3 or 4. And they start just saying, okay, we're going to play a more aggressive composition. Obviously, still a lot of Alta in here. I think that is going to be the next ban coming out with 15 teams picking Alta, as does happen on E-District.
It's also interesting to note with Rampart being picked too in this lobby, it's the counterplay against the Newcastle, melting down that Newcastle wall being the name of the game here for a lot of the squads that have to find some respite behind the safety of that Newcastle to reposition. YBR team already on their rotate, GG neighboring them as we are moving all the way over to that north side. If you guys caught where that next zone pool is going to be happening, over by Dam. And you know the teams that have that high ground advantage, X and Y, having that POI, being able to stay on that high ground, seeing that survey beacon, it's going to allow them to look down at the teams that may have a difficult time going through those choke points, thinking specifically of Liquid Alienware coming out of their POI that have the ring console and the survey beacon too.
And at the very least, Vicky, some variety.
Yeah, right? That's, you know, I always love that.
It's pulling somewhere else. We get to see something different. Different teams get priority to the zone, and it feels a little fairer. You know, it's always rough when the team comes out and says, look, the zone pulled, you know, as far away as it possibly could for us 3 times in a row. What chance did I really have in this series?
See the pings here from Na'Vi. One of the teams making their way here. Already 5 teams or so in that next zone. Heroes making their rotate away from Energy Bank. Going to be able to play objective to get that ring console. Well, Arneb looking at a team right across from them. There is that survey beacon. The team in front of them had already scanned it. So they do know that Arneb are right behind them.
So Mitt, I think, close by. Nefu's gonna go for the portal. Old man RKN. Ooh, okay, gonna set up the fences here just in case they decide to come back through that. Doubt we'll be seeing that. I think Arneba happy to move further in towards the ring now.
It's always nice to see our legends come back into full form in competition. Seeing RKN compete once again throughout his progress in Pro League now here within the ALGS Open. Feeling very confident.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I remember, previous LAN finalist. So certainly he's been able to turn up and show that some of that experience still holds weight.
Respect your elders. Heroes just waiting, seeing the team right in front of them, taking some shots. They do have the Void Nexus if they do want to make some moves. They are one of the teams that know where this next zone is going to be pulling, as they have that ring console information, as you can see on that mini-map. Holding onto the high ground, though, looking at the team in front of them. That could be Corinthians, actually, because they wanted to get information off of the beacon that Heroes are holding down. Calm before the storm, I always say. Zesty Besties trying to chase down that team, though. You saw the residual rift that was left behind by the squad that ended up repositioning with the Void Nexus. See Light in the feed, also being able to get that knock onto Yuri.
Yeah, I think that was FWG there. Pulled out of the fight with Zesty Besties, and they might have wanted their Void Nexus up just in an effort to be able to move forward, but they're gonna have to walk in on foot here as they get a knock. That was from... It was from Zesty Besties. Okay, so they've traded here, and now we're seeing some Void Nexus action here. I think they actually portaled forward there just in an effort to try and get a different angle onto Zesty Besties.
It's great hold, too, from Dark. You see him on the high ground trying to give suppressed fire while the rest of his team is trying to reset entirely, the rest of FWG. Zesty Besties another one, too. They were able to fully reset now, trying to close in the gap. Looking at Hated, Dark moving back to the rest of his squad, but while holding a different off angle. Deadly's now trying to get Deadly. Newcastle barrier put up. Having to watch to your side, though. Also having to wonder, could there be a third party in the vicinity? The Void Nexus have been called in, waiting for him to appear on the other side before getting that knock onto Voodoo.
There's a lot more action at the start of this game. You can see across the board. Teams getting into it both within the circle, and also there's a cluster of about 6 or 7 teams, and the Falcons are coming in from the south as well. So Zesty Besties, I think they're just finding a nice little isolated fight here on the side, but I don't know if they're ready for Falcons, for Monster, for Corinthians, for Liquid. Like, there's a lot of teams in this area.
That's the risk when you take a fight that takes so long here. Now other teams want to get involved. They want to try to get some easy KP if they can find the opportunity in terms of the timing, as Zero has right now before sliding in, getting the knock. Hal, though, gets melted, having to back away, pop the shield bat. This is one of the teams, though, that do not have the Void Nexus. Probably put it down somewhere behind them, but you could see Zero not having that Void Nexus just yet for the second time around.
Monster, despite being close by, having some trigger discipline here. They don't decide to get involved in this fight. They definitely could have sent that onto Falcons or one of the other teams, but they actually make their way towards the
Oh, no.
instead. Meanwhile, RKN, as soon as we talk him up, fortunately is going to leave a death box behind in the zone for Na'Vi to pick over. And as they do that, maybe both teams actually there were trying to fight over that ring console. A bit hard to know without the lead up, but seems like a plausible explanation of why they're both so far into the ring. And then we have a look at it as it really does continue to pull towards Electro Dam. How much of the height is still in will be a big factor. If it means a team like Team Orchid can stay up there for the longest time, it's one of those places where you just have such a massive height disparity that if you can maintain the high ground, you know, it'll be KP galore for the team that sits up there with a few sites.
I've seen a few end zones pulled towards whether it be the west side of Electro Dam, still on that low ground, and then towards the right houses that are very open by that one zip line that has that one big zip line that could lead you to high ground on the right side. YBR are actually banking on that zone pulling to the southeast, which would be way better for them because they've already secured that building early. Zesty Besties going in for the res, getting both their teammates up. Isolated here, but FWG are still in the zone getting that replicator. You see it? They see the res. Took that away, too, from FWG trying to reset. So now taking way longer to try to get into that next zone as it closes in.
Mutually assured destruction from these two teams. I mean, Zesty Besties do get that res in first. You saw them essentially both crafting their teammates at the same time. But because Zesty Besties get in there to start with, it means that they've got a much better chance of keeping FWG out, who now have to go even further into zone to look for a potential respawn.
I will say X and Y being one of the first teams to go down, no, being literally the first team to go down was important because their POI is Electro Dam, right? And Team Orchid have now taken up that space instead. They will instead be on the high ground, as you can see here, noting where that next zone could be pulling and having that information.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about building a fortress inside. Void Nexus behind the castle wall, supported by the amped cover. Meanwhile, mid-map, we've got Monster coming up against Aurora this time. Their run ended early by Falcons in game 1. Let's see if they can turn the tables on someone else here in game 2.
The Mythic Bin will be spawning once this circle closes, right on top of Aurora.
And you know what? That's kind of their comfort spot, right? I mean, if you think back to how they played the lifeline in times past, Vicky, it was the stay well away from the zone, get up to purple, spawn in the respawn, the care package from Lifeline, and grab your Evo cash and your free, care package weapon that way. Unfortunately, that's no longer in the game, but they'll get the next best thing, which is the Mythic Pin.
A lot to break down, too. We also saw FWG get the full res on the squad, but when we talked about the information that Team Orchid could bank off of, same thing for TSM, there is no ring console in Electro Dam, right? So you're really banking on that survey beacon to reveal where other teams have predicted where that zone's going to be pulling, and guess what? It's pulling over to the west side of that zone, not towards that little building that we were looking at for YBR instead, but Falcons are kind of in that southern east side, looking at YBR more secured on the left buildings here by the crates.
Now, this the spot the Falcons have got set up here, right? They're playing the Rampart and the Newcastle. This is actually a very good spot for that composition, I'd say. It's a lot of teams will win from this spot, but it's not easy to hold. What you really need here is for your Rampart player to be very aggressive. They need to be shooting down the other Newcastle walls again and again to make sure that they're not doing the same to you, essentially, right? It's about how much pressure you can exert on the area around you so that they're not doing the same in reverse. So a good spot for Falcons, but we have to see if they can hold on to it.
Aurora flying in now, trying to get aggressive with their fight. Looking at Monster on the other side of Galleria, where there's a survey beacon and a ring console, you could expect the southern rotating teams to go there as FWG take too much damage. They lose out from the ring. They felt pressure from another team trying to match some Corinthians now moving up. Heroes were trying to gatekeep them originally as well. And now Zesty Besties looking at complexity as Corinthians are safely in that next zone. They had been able to get that ring console, so that's why they're going to be looking at this fight to try to see if they can hold this position before wanting to try to go for a third party.
Complexity, fan favorites, only 2 points right now. They're in trouble. Monsoon has to pull away. Tries to hide behind the castle wall, but it's not enough. Zesty Besties will find the angle and they'll find the kills onto Complexity. 2 games, 2 points. They are now behind the 8 ball.
They stay besties and hate it out here with a 4 KP leading away with kill leader. 6 total KP for this team that had been able to get that reset. A great journey to look for this second game for this team.
Now we did briefly mention that FWG went down there. That's because they took more damage from the ring than from all the other teams they fought combined, by the way. 1,300 damage from the ring in a single game. A lot of medkits. A lot of medkits.
Especially when you just respawned, right? Good luck, you're on the sticks for real. Atlas looking at Envy, while G Dolphin tries to get into position. I like the way that they're trying to play this, holding a split angle, trying to divert that attention onto multiple members, while G Dolphin tries to be the entry bagger here, but isolated, he loses out on the fight, missing these crucial P20 shots. Tryhard Thor now slides in, puts down that knuckle cluster, looking at Zap that has the high ground now, playing off of the AC units. Sykes drops down, they try to isolate him, they do get that knock, but they've taken so much damage that Envy just have the health advantage. They take care of Atlas, going down in 15th. Envy stay alive.
Okay, Envy still in it. Saw Sykes on the way in this morning. He was saying that they had some great spots yesterday, but just weren't able to convert. He said there are a couple of games where they had, 20 points were on the table in front of them, and then they go down. They go down too early, and they don't convert. He felt sick at the time, but Team Orchid, they're looking sick at times throughout this tournament, especially Panic, who, is he? He's not going to take the gravity cannon.
No. He's just trying to get out of the line of sight.
Oh my god. It looks like he's on it. I'm surprised it's not firing right now.
It's just a little bit on the crumb side, the pixel of the stairs before you take that gravity cannon, staying alive. I mean, he really had no choice. Once you're forced to drop down, that's the thing about being on Electro Dam.
Yeah.
You have little to no cover once all these teams have already congregated on the bottom side of that dam.
Ooh, zone does shift away from Falcons, so it's a little plinth that they're on. They're just gonna have to shield some people on the way into the next zone. Oh my god, YBR. Trying to play from their little corner, but Night Lives are peeking them. I don't know if they really want to take this fight. They kind of don't have much of an option, I suppose. They're stuck down below. Can they even get out of this without using the Alter Q to get it up to high ground? This is a crazy spot.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard. Also, I've been seeing easy flashes popping off with the Kraber since like 2 circles ago. Getting now the headshot on Sakura. Team Liquid Alienware go down a lot earlier than what we saw in game number 1. Rambo literally one shot though, dancing before the 30-30 had hit him. Heroes, we were talking about easy flash before, also getting pelted by the 30-30. These drones, I believe we have like 4 cryptos or so in this lobby. Kind of putting a thorn on their side. Heroes being one of the teams having that crypto, but where do you even go? Literally everyone is trying to look at you. He can't even get into cover. Another member of Heroes goes down, leaving just the crypto player here. You're gonna try to hide behind the knockdown shield, go invisible if you have that second perk from the blue Evo shield. Falcons also are lighting up the feed.
I mean, Heroes are mid-zone right now, but they don't have a Newcastle. I mean, they're like one of the only teams in this lobby not playing that legend, and they're playing from the exact spot that you need him in. They do not have cover from multiple angles, and it just seems like it's an impossible situation there from Heroes as they're eliminated in 10th place.
Another KP here from Falcons, 4 KP in their pockets, and Zero's got the Kraber, but he does not got it like that. He does not hit the hipfire shots on the Kraber, now only leaving Waltzy alive as he tries to get the reset with the Newcastle. Here comes Kazakh dropping down with the slam on the Newcastle himself. It's only really up to Waltzy to try to clutch it out.
Yeah, he's just trying to res to even buy himself time. It's not even necessarily to actually get the teammates up. He just wants some cover, but he can't. He can't do it. Aurora will take them, and they'll take some extra KP. Maybe even here against 9 Lives. No! Cersei pulls it off. He'll grab the shield swap, and as soon as he does, they go down as well.
Look who's looking at them. It's GG. Safe once again in the best position, the less contested position. Meanwhile, look at the compound that they're looking at. Right across the field, you have Zesty Besties, Na'Vi, Monster that will eventually have to collapse on each other, whereas GG don't have anybody to worry about on their side of zone.
This is looking like it's going to be a back-to-back here for GG, but don't count your chickens just yet. The other teams are full. They've got positions they can play for. There are alters available.
Oh, with the mother low, getting that crack to do the initial damage though. Uchako's the only one left here from Navi. He looks behind him. It's not enough to do it because Monster now dropped down with the Alter Void Passage, trying to get aggressive, trying to third party the fight that was inevitable on the low ground. But Light with the Kraber shot, sending down one of the members of Monster.
That's all they needed. The Void Passage up the top. They get behind the Newcastle trying to res here.
Do it.
And Gaming Gladiators
Do it again.
go for the style shot to finish it off.
Oh, they're feeling themselves. He misses it again. It's fine. It's for the style points. It's just for the style points because you know that Gaming Gladiators with their position go in for the back-to-back, winning game number 2.
Well, it was 22 points in game 1. Gaming Gladiators have outdone themselves with 15 kills in a 27-point game in game 2.
Leave some for the rest of us. You know what, actually, with the way you're playing, securing yourself that gap is the #1 thing to do here if you find your strength on E-District before we transition on to our next map. Having one more game left on E-District. Strong performance here from Gaming Gladiators.
Yeah, I mean, as a reminder, this is the elimination bracket. You might be, forgiven for thinking otherwise, considering the caliber of teams we are seeing here. But it does mean that they're fighting for POI draft position going forward. And, getting 11th is certainly better than getting 20th if you end up in some of those later stages.
Look at this, 27 total points for Gaming Gladiators. Monster were only able to secure 1 KP. Navi with 8 KP, actually pretty sponged up here in terms of KP in general for our top 10 squads in game number 2.
Yep, a few bagels, a few sticks on the other side. There's really not a lot going around in the bottom 10 there. Not a lot to propel them forward. When you think about the series results overall. I mean, Monster getting 1 kill for 9 placement points is honestly pretty damn good for them. Any team would be happy to take that. Having a look at our top 3 for the second game. Sedan rocking the glasses, always looking stylish there. But Navi obviously, coming off a LAN win, were another team who wouldn't expect to see themselves in the elimination bracket, but here they are and they've just got to do their best. They pick up 15 points. That's extremely helpful on their campaign to continue forward.
Need it here with Gaming Gladiators taking up all the points themselves, right? The back-to-back dub, they had the 9 KP, game number 1, 15 KP this time around as we take a look at the series results, and that's the gap we're mentioning. 48 total points for our first place winners in their last 2 games. 9 Lives trailing right behind them with 22 points, but obviously it is just 2 games, right? It's still very early in this series, but look how close it is between 9 Lives. Even looking at Liquid Alienware, they went down, I believe it was 12th place, but a majority of these teams had unfortunately collapsed when they were banking on that zone pool to not pull necessarily to the west side by Electro Dam, but necessarily towards the east side where a majority of these teams had no cover to work with when they were forced to play in the canal.
Yeah, because you see a lot of teams, a lot of zones pull to that little plinth as we were talking about, but this time it doesn't. It goes over towards the bridge. You've got Gaming Gladiators who just get that initial knock, and that was it, right? Then they're straight up through the Void Siphon. It's an easy cleanup at that point for GG, and a back-to-back dub.
You love to see it. And with Alter also being the most picked legend for game number 2, that means that's our next hero band going into our 3rd game. E-District, 1 more game of E-District coming to you guys on the other side of this break.
Sony InZone, the official monitor of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Everyone, to stay locked in, you already know Secret Lab knows the body was built to move, and their Titan Evo chair has evolved to meet exactly that need. While the 4-way L-Adapt lumbar support system cushions your spine on a Y-shaped lattice of living hinges, the 165 degrees of recline and Class 4 hydraulics will keep you steady and ready while backing your every move. You know what they say, Gino? The better the chair, the better the gamer. And we're out here for our third match. Underway now. E-District. I always love to see how these new maps have influenced the playstyle that our teams have needed to adapt around on top of the Legend Vans.
Yeah, it's a very different map. It's obviously quite a recent introduction into ALGS. We saw it come in at the championship at Sapporo last year. So the players, honestly, they're so much newer to this map than everything else. I mean, you know, we were even talking when we were casting World's Edge yesterday. It's like you see everything and you can see it like 3 zones in advance, essentially. But you go to E-District and you're like, yeah, there's a bunch of zones that we're just not that used to, and they play out very differently to every other map.
Yeah, and you know, then you look at Gaming Gladiators and the way that they position themselves in these final zones constantly. A team that obviously has been able to nail down where these circle pulls have been. As we take a look at the POI draft, exactly where Gaming Gladiators have been rotating from by the north side.
Yeah, GG. We can see them over there at Canal Plaza, just above the Energy Bank. And obviously we've had 2 zones on the north side, so being in the middle, it kind of splits the difference with their priority to both of those zones, and they kind of nailed it. They've really nailed it both times. They have just done an incredible job of clearing out all the space, and then, yeah, just like both times I'm looking at the map with about, 7 squads left, and they have half of the space to themselves, and that is just one of the easiest ways to tell whether a team has a good position going into those final stages. 9 kills and 15 kills for GG. They're only getting better as the series progresses. Getting a head start for a lot of our teams here that are struggling to have their morning coffee maybe. Falcons sitting in 8th place, still securing that top 10 for now, but only having 11 points. We know that with GG winning back-to-back that they've sponged the majority of that too, but then between them and that gap is 9 lives, sitting in 2nd place with 22 points. And then our next Legend band, of course, going forward being the Ultra. Yep, so it'll change things up again. Still no Newcastle ban, and now we have to wonder whether we'll see it at all, considering, that little that pattern that we've noticed, whether it's either sort of first or not at all. And I actually did catch up with Walty briefly on his way to the stage, and I was, asking them, Falcons haven't looked the best when they've had Newcastle running throughout the whole series. And he was saying, yeah, well, you don't really want to pick Crypto unless Newcastle is out of the lobby already. And he was saying, I feel so good on Crypto. I can contribute so much to the team. I'm making all these calls. It feels like I'm almost back to being, my IGL days on Moist. And I can't do that on Newcastle. It's really up to the other guys. And we've certainly seen them just struggle a little bit in these types of lobbies, and it's kind of tough because it's got nothing to do with you. It just depends on what the other teams prioritize.
It's not like they know, right, what the compositions that these teams are going to be rocking afterwards. It's just speculation based off of the pacing of how a lot of these lobbies have really progressed. You had mentioned beforehand where we usually see Ballistic more later in the series. It varies on which map we start off with too. And since we don't have Alter, we do see a little bit more Ballistic. Couple that together with the Fuses as well as Wraith, Watson, one Valkyrie from what I'm seeing right here too, as well as a majority of the Newcastle like you mentioned.
Yeah, we are going to buck that trend though. Newcastle will be the next Legend band. He's in, let's have a look, 60% pick rate, so actually quite low. Considering we're only at the 3rd game here, 12 picks for Newcastle is actually a relatively low amount for a Legend to get banned. You still see it sometimes up to 15, 16 teams picking the same thing going into match 3. So yeah, look, maybe a bit of a reprieve for Falcons as we were talking about. we can see some of those more aggro comps like the Crypto that they tend to succeed on.
It's also interesting to note that Wraith having that 45% pick rate, Ashe being the 40% pick rate, allows you to enable a lot of more of that aggressive behavior, also the repositioning potential that you have. As we take a look at where that zone was pulling to, by the way, it's going to be over to that Northeast Energy Bank side. Teams already getting ahead. Arneb noting that since they have that Watson, getting that information off that ring console scan, trying to dance around that charge rifle. You see the pings are going to just land right directly in the middle of Energy Bank. And they're not alone here too, right? Heroes are flying right over Energy Bank where there is a ring console. Some of these teams could deny that information from the teams that will try to situate themselves here early, Omit being one of them since they're going through their pathing from where the Evil Harvester is after a quick rotate north side of draft points.
Ooh, very central zone pull here with it coming into Energy Bank. It's one of the other reasons you want to pick Energy Bank. I mean, we already talked about how good it is getting the double Evo spawns, as they have had this game. Send 2 members out, charge your Evo up very quickly, but also you just do tend to get a lot of pulls middle of this map. And teams, they've definitely recognized this. All the ones surrounding it have come to the north side of Energy Bank already. Teams like Omit love to turtle up. You can see that. You can tell it directly from their composition because they've got Newcastle and they've got Watson. Then Young Black Ricky also going for that. A couple of other teams will use Watson instead of Newcastle, which is also an interesting option considering that we've got more Cryptos creeping into the lobby now.
Envy looking to take a fight after activating the Ballistic Ult here too. Zap putting down the Knuckle Cluster. I believe he also had, that Mother Load available to him, but same thing could be said about Navi as Uchaku also unleashes a Mother Load. Nice crack here while trying to enable Zidane to make the entry frag play, so reposition to keep oppressing them, forcing them to completely back away. It hurts Zidane actually moving up, and now with them backing away, they're giving some space between themselves and the rest of Navi. It's an isolated fight for now too, so they could actually afford to take this. It was the fight for the information too, because there was that ring console and survey beacon closer to Navi.
I think that's one of the nice map design changes we've had as well. You know, Evo Harvesters, survey beacons being everywhere, 100% spawn rated POIs. It just means that there's more objectives for teams to fight over, right? So it means even if you are trying to get to zone, even if you are an edge team who wants to play around and make your way in a little bit later, there's always points of conflict where teams are going to be coming towards each other. Whereas honestly, previously to that, teams knew each other's rotations so well, especially when they had solidified draft spots. Not draft spots, solidified drop spots. That they'd just avoid each other. They'd know where the other teams were and they wouldn't want to roll the dice, take that kind of gamble.
Or we'll see some ready, honestly, some ready plays in general, but with Hambino getting that knock onto Skiddo. Does Jet have it here? No, he doesn't. Duplex now only the last one alive. He was literally one already beforehand, but you saw with the beamage on the charge rifle on the other side. Very unfortunate situation for TSM. Being the first squad to go out here on E-District, the last game on E-District at that.
So that's 8 points on E-District overall for TSM. That's not a good result. Or T-Husm, as I like to call them. And yeah, look, honestly, it kind of doesn't feel like an Apex LAN without TSM here, right? So I'm glad that they picked up these guys. Ever since they got so close to winning the LAN, I think it was when they were, the Optic roster back then, but I've always felt like, Dupe and Skittles deserved, another really high performance run, another deep run into the tournament.
Real ones, the OGs remember ESA. Real ones remember the Dupe, Skittle, and Verhulst, by the way. That goes way, way back. But of course, as you highlighted, Skittle and Dupe having that history that they have, but not going to be able to showcase it here for at least this third game.
Oh, wow, and they actually had first pick on E-District at the Blossom Drive. So they're going on to their second round draft pick at Wall for Storm Point. That's, okay. Got your work cut out for you, TSM.
FWG on the run looking at X and Y, who are together in Lotus. Envy still trying to take some of these fights, playing more so on the edge. We know that this squad likes to be objective heavy rather, looking at Monster, who could get pinched in a situation like this.
Just jamming out. Jamming out on the guitar.
I like the vibes. Envy also seeing if they could try to go in for a third party. They saw that there was no engagement. Saw the ring pull too, by the way. They have a minute and now 45 seconds or so to make their next move. Zesty Besties trailing right behind Monster.
These two teams both playing very much edge.
Ew.
That's why they've been close to each other for pretty much 3 games in a row, following each other around to, you know, as we were talking about before, all the objectives. They're just grabbing the same Evo harvesters, grabbing the same survey beacons, and constantly just pinging each other.
You know, why would Envy want to initiate a fight that they know that there's 2 squads that will inevitably come out of the west side of the zone? They saw the zone pull, and instead of trying to engage, they're just going to be able to rotate up towards the zone. There's an Evo Harvester waiting for them over to the north side, and then they could just gatekeep Monster or Zesty Besties. Or even better, third party while still holding a better position in that next zone. Something that Zesty Besties have to keep in mind while they're still staring down at Monster, who are in a much worse position off this low ground. Funneling off, though, and forcing out the Newcastle wall, too. Nice cracks here, but do they want to engage with them fully committing to moving back, having that rate, too?
Yeah, I mean, he's got 4 arcs left. They do get the first knock to Xiao Yi here. So Zesty Besties, surely they have to send this, but Monster are already as far away as they can possibly be. They'll get out with just the 1 loss there.
He got deleted right there once he was forced to drop down. That was Panic coming through to slide in with the Akimbo P20s, becoming the kill leader in the lobby, wiping out that squad. Team Orchid dropping down just briefly before coming right back up, where they've been securing the high ground of this building from the very beginning too, right? Ambino has been there, holding it down to make sure no squad will fly in and take that place from them, like Na'Vi now coming out. Landing right alongside Atlas, it looks like G-Dolphin hearing that. Falcons having the high ground, though. They're literally getting destroyed by 2 different teams pressuring them.
Zero as well. I thought they were going to triple man land on him, and he doesn't back away, though. He plays with all of the arrogance and the impressive show of force that we know he's capable of here. His teammates backing him up. They were close enough, and of course, on Ash, you do have a bunch of abilities to get you out of dodge if you really need to, and you can see there, no point holding onto the portal if you can make it safely back to your team. I like the spot that they're playing from there, you know, playing from those, that central building in Energy Bank. A lot of teams later will pile in underneath you, and it just gives you a lot of opportunities to pick up KP. Ooh. Falcons love to be in a spot like that.
Liquid Alienware get the full reset for now. They were hiding in a corner, a pixel of their foot just poking out while GG were looking at them. And GG have to split their attention at Orchid, who are on their other side, Complexity alongside them, so they couldn't fully commit to trying to finish off the KP after they got the 2 additional knocks onto Liquid Alienware. Making some plays here with the Wraith portal. Nizul trying to help out the rest of Liquid Alienware. They also have the information on where that next ring is going. You heard the Sentinel shot from a distance, missing out on hitting Nizul. Opting to try to rotate all the way around here. I do like this option because you could try to secure some KP for the late rotating teams from X and Y and FWG if you don't like your current position. But since this zone is pulling right on top of them, this is even better in Liquid Alienware case if they can secure this position or at least gatekeep the squads coming out of the choke, looking at Corinthians and FWG.
Yeah, definitely some options there for Liquid to think about. Na'Vi finished off by Falcons in the meantime, and Zopal's northwest. So that means teams like Liquid Alienware, despite only having that very small sliver of space to themselves, it's within the next zone, so could actually work out. FWG, once again, being forced into a late rotate, ugly position, so they do get closed out early.
highlighting Liquid Alienware, it's the same case that you mentioned, you know, about Falcons if you look at their composition, right? They have to secure that positioning, and they have the Rampart and Newcastle to do so. That's really the best case scenario for yourself. If you're looking at the teams in front of you, if you get pinched, you could play off of that middle plant console that you've already found some security in, while Falcons looking to get a lot more aggressive, still holding the middle side of Energy Bank. They don't really know where that next zone's pulling because they haven't really given up this building over to the south side of Energy Bank, despite there being a ring console over to the east side.
And I'm sure they're still hoping at this point that the zone comes back towards them, but in a minute or so they'll know it's not. At that point, will they be hoping that they kept a bit more of the Sheila to try and punch through some walls as they have to make their rotation? Will they be able to do enough damage with an accelerator stock weapon perhaps to charge that back up? Because there's Atlas underneath them, there's Omit to their east. There's going to be a couple teams in between them and this next zone.
Imagine being Aurora stuck in a shoebox while Hal just lets it unleash with the Sheila. And a little crevice while you're trying to work off of the only cover that you built up for yourself. Not in a bad position, though, for Aurora, only because they're on that south side. They will get gate-kept by heroes unless they can make magic happen, and working off the low ground by the bridge that leads out of Energy Bank. Envy, talking about some low ground, looking behind them. See if they can catch any stragglers, because there is a team now approaching in their line of sight before we do the quick cutaway into where this zone is going to be pulling.
Yeah, you get the overview of it, though, right? That was Corinthians, obviously, that was just walking into their view. Do they know Zesty Besties are hiding behind? Maybe they were hoping that there'd be like a sliver of the ring on the other side of this wall that was still in, and then they could play that and maybe, you know, make a late rotation. I mean, obviously, Alter, that's not available in this game, but it's not going to work out. Any way that they can go into this ring is going to be ugly. Meanwhile, Falcons, they've made the proactive move here. They're actually going to go in to try and take this building off of Heroes. Can they do it uncontested? Hal, always so good with the nades, will put down Easy Flash first, and then they dash in for the finish off. A lot of Falcons fans in the crowd. We can hear them very happy about them taking this important position. But do they get the reset in time? Because Atlas are right on top of them.
I mean, they did that so smooth, absolutely. They really barely took any damage in that fight off of that beautiful nade that we saw from Falcons. They got the 2 initial knocks and then immediately cleaned up the last player from the opposing team. So they'll be able to secure that building. They don't have the information, again, where that zone is going to be pulling. We do. We know that it's going over to that northwest side. Gaming Gladiators continuously still hold one of the best positions in these end zones, by the way. Uncontested on the north side. Envy losing out on drop, but they do get the trade off of the other knock here. Sliding out is Zap, trying to get the fishing pole, but you have to look behind you. There's still another player. It is Hated, and we've seen that he's been able to frag out, and Envy can't clutch! Envy can't clutch! You gotta put some respect onto Hated, who continuously keeps trying to clutch out these fights.
It's so irritating when you're playing against a Newcastle in those situations. You know you have to close out the fight quickly because otherwise teams are going to third party you. He's just juking back and forth in front of his mobile shield. He's going to die, but he's wasting your time, and then you die as well.
Oh, Nizul! Nizul is going crazy! I saw him lining up the feed before. He was already harassing Aurora. He drops down, hit fire shots on the G7 though. Goes on the other side of that Wraith Porter. Unintentionally though, he's forced to back away, but he knows that they were so low originally. But you don't want to try to overextend with there being way more squads now, with Falcons being on the other side of Aurora. You don't want to give up this position. You still want to help out your teammates to reset.
Falcons firing away at Aurora here. They think that's their ticket into the next zone, and they'll actually finish them off. This buys them some space and some time, but it's not job done just yet. Meanwhile, Liquid Alienware going in against Corinthians here. If Falcons identify this, that's the spot they want to take.
Nizul playing with confidence today. We see you, Nizul, getting another knock. Well, Curve plays a little bit more passively with that G7. Shot at Nizul. That's how locked in they are. That he looked at Nizul and took a few warning shots at his own teammate.
Yeah, I think there's actually a bug at the moment where Wraith, you can't tell whether she's friend or foe, basically, right? The outline's not there. It's a jump scare sometimes. I know I've definitely fallen prey to it.
Be your own, while Hal gets a knock onto Jaguares, though. Not the look here for that Tilo want to hold in this choke. to imagine with the Sheila just letting it unleash. Not giving up the space here while Falcons also look behind them, because you also imagine the teams that could walk up behind them. Atlas, Complexity, if they want to wrap around. Liquid Alienware looking to get the reset with Kira being literally one shot.
So that's X and Y on the other side here. They're looking to take out Liquid, and if they can maybe just get a little bit of help from Falcons, take away spots away, take away sightlines from either side, Falcons and X and Y can probably walk into this next part of the zone.
Monsoon, no surprise, also has been lining up the feed, getting Nox with that Sentinel. How with no attachments aside from that 2x4 on the triple take.
This is where you'd love to have the ult to just pull them out of that box, right? Because there's essentially nowhere to hide in those situations.
Oh man, but nowhere to hide if you just get dove on immediately with the Ash TP. Getting that knock onto Haguadas Karib, leaving Nazul as the last one alive, sliding in, getting him off to the side. Liquid Alienware get taken out. X and Y now looking at Falcons, who have taken the Liquid Alienware position.
X and Y didn't have any points going into this game, and now they've got a center zone position.
Gaming Gladiators go out in 7th. Omid take that fight against them to take the positioning that they were holding from the beginning. Falcons stay alive while Waltzy resets with the med kit. Look at the P20 seeing X and Y get eliminated. The crowd giving them their energy. Complexity taking this fight versus Omid. Funk incredibly low for now. Monsoon trying to get that suppressed fire here, trying to shoot at Cody with that bolt. But you talk about lackluster loot. Look at the weapons that they have to work with. They come out on top off of this fight.
Well, a little update for you guys. Imperial Hal currently has 2k damage, but it's Zero who seems to be stealing a couple of the kills from him. He's got 9 to himself right now, and they want even more. After taking out X and Y, they push up to the middle of the zone, and they've got all of these little, tree spots here that they can play behind, as well as Hal putting up the amped cover. 3 squads left. They start bursting down Awkward while Complexity look on from the low ground.
And this is how you know when you play the Rampart to counter-pick the Newcastle walls. Detrimental in a zone like this, playing off the natural cover of the terrain, but looking at the teams playing off the low ground, playing at a positional disadvantage with our last 3 spots alive. Falcons playing with confidence.
Are you feeling it, Vicky? Are you feeling the momentum? That's what kind of team Falcons are, and they found some here. They're going to run away with this second game. Let's see if they can finish off these last 3 kills.
Coming in off the high ground, looking at Monsoon before sliding in with the dash from Zero. Look at this, the Zero Hal team up, finding Funk, finding Kintu. We saw Wolsey with the Bowtech earlier before, and Monsoon gets eliminated. Complexity out in 3rd, 12 KP for Zero. Sliding out though, they lose all watching Zero. It's only up to Hal. Panic into it, slow shield swap, and Falcons are your game 3 winners. You hear that, Gino? You hear that? I heard the CEO chants. 20 kills, 7,000 damage in 1 game.
That is an absurd stat line from the Falcons, from the super team. 12 kills for Zero. Hal's getting the chance from the crowd. He's getting the massage from the coach. And they've got all the points they could possibly want with a hell of a finish to E-District there. That's a massive boon to Falcons that will most likely send them into the next round as, we'd expect nothing less of this team. They should be smurfing on this lobby, and they are right now.
Maybe took a little bit, shaking it up for the first 2 games before coming in with an exploding dub on game number 3.
X and Y, they only end up with 3 points there. They were in such a good position. You remember, they were beating up on, they were pretty much just teaming with Team Falcons on Liquid Alienware there, but they don't pick up any of the kills. They're all stolen away by Zero. I guess we do have to shout out that X and Y are missing JR. One of their best players. Unfortunately, had to go with Super Sub Bolin, who has come in for so many teams in APAC South, a lot of the Chinese-speaking teams. he's managed to fill in for over the years, and I can tell you, he's a plug-and-play kind of guy. He'll always show up, but X and Y are struggling a little bit in this elimination bracket.
Also highlights what an explosive game does to a team. I believe their Falcons specifically were like in 8th place before this 3rd game, now have moved their way up to 2nd place, still behind Gaming Gladiators with 43 total points, but it's still that gap that you were able to secure before transitioning into a new map after adjusting through E-District.
Well, that's E-District over for now, Vicky. So 3 games in, we've had 2-1 by Gaming Gladiators, and then a huge win by Falcons to all of a sudden put them out of doubt for dropping down to the elimination bracket from here on out.
And remember, we have multiple lobbies playing simultaneously. I want to hear from Lace. What's the latest update going on over there in the pit?
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Look, I thought the passion in the pit was getting a little bit crazy. I could hear it from the green room, but the fans for the Falcons in that win was immensely passionate, more than the players here. Now, look, we are, in a crucial spot here for a lot of the players in Elimination Round 4. We've got Lobby 1 over here, so if we want to take a look at the standings, we can run through exactly what's happening here. I do know that we have a few contenders on top. Rival Esports, look, in their match number 2, I think they pulled together 16 kills along with the first place, putting them in that top position, along with FaZe Clan, their first match, 12 kills. So you can see why they are at the top. Virtus Pro, though, if we want to go all the way down to 18th place, obviously this is elimination round, so we do need to keep an eye out on those teams that are under the 10th place. They got knocked out in 18th place in match 1. They did manage to get, 7th place in match 2, but it seems to be that they are struggling ever so slightly. They have another 3 matches to try and pull this one together, but, looking into that team in general is a difficult first. Enter Force also, scraping together a little bit more in that 3rd match as well, but teams like Ronan there in 12th place, we do know that they have the sort of ambition to be able to get themselves up in that top 10th place, but again, only 3 matches for a lot of these teams to be able to do that. I'm going to put you back to Rain Day over at the caster's desk.
At the pit, always appreciated to keep in touch with the action here at the ALGS Open. Rain Day back on the couch with Gaskin and Jamerson and Zephyr after 3 games of action that ended pretty well for Falcons there. 32 points, Dan. I mean, we were wondering if they would show up. They certainly have in Game 3.
Yeah, not too shabby, I'd say, for Falcons. And I would say they needed it, but going into Storm Point, I think they would have been confident anyway. But now they're going to be able to blitz through these last 3 matches because 43 points, whether they're on, that is guaranteed they're going to be through to the next round.
Yeah.
There's no way the cutoff is going to be around there. So they're going to be able to play with a lot more of a relaxed style, and that is scary for the rest of the lobby because that could be a lot of points eaten up by them.
I feel like they're actually a team that with tension, Jamerson does worse at this point. They haven't, to me, felt like they've needed to perform and then performed. I think when they get relaxed, they play at their best.
Yeah, there's something about that underlying tension that when it starts building up on that roster, you're just kind of waiting for it to explode, but off stream, right, where they're yelling at each other. But when things are going well for them, and, well, especially when we have these stakes and now they are safe from them and they'll be able to move on. I mean, 40-some-odd points that they have right now, they're well safe to move on into the next round. That means moving on to Storm Point, which is more of their bread and butter. They can play a lot more aggressively. They don't have to have that nagging, feeling in the back of their head of, oh, if I make a mistake here, we might get knocked out. So now they can play with full confidence. Every single fight that they take on Storm Point, they'll be able to just walk people down.
Yeah, it feels good doing that, especially as a veteran team. But Gaming Gladiators, also a veteran team, who in my eyes have had maybe like a quieter tournament than we would have expected. At a few points during last year in year 4, we were looking at them as potential winners almost every time we saw them in a group stage. And now we see them as more of like a team we know is great, but are they going to get there? It seems like with 2 wins in a row, they've certainly done it.
Yeah, they've had a very nice start, especially given the fact that we've got a little bit of some zone bias, especially towards the region of the north there, where they had a lot of early prio to getting towards those good kind of God spot positions. And granted, when a zone pulls your way, it should be your game. It's how these teams are able to enact beyond that and deliver in a situation where they know they have the leg up. Gaming Gladiators are in the best position forward to say that that's something they can can do. It's not a gifted win. It is one they still have to earn in many ways. So they've picked up the first and the second game and likely are now safe.
I love the way just the tones have shifted here. It's been so fun on this desk. We've been pretty relaxed across it. Today's a little bit more tension, though. We know the stakes are high across the board, but when you asked Hal the other day, and he's been performing well here in Game 3, what would he rather do? It's skydive or solo queue for 8 hours? Well, obviously he chose skydiving. And at the end of the day, we had so much footage from that event that we put together a little behind-the-scenes showcase for those who wanted to see more of what it felt like to go skydiving. Me, Hal, and Timmy with the Red Bull Air Force. Let's check it out.
Hey guys, we're at Skydive Paris in California, and we are here to skydive with Red Bull.
And our knees are bent like this.
Okay.
So I'll say, ready, set, go. When I say go, we're going to roll forward. You're the first thing out of the plane. You're going to roll forward.
Okay. The anxiety is settling in slowly.
Voila.
Feel nice and tight. I'm not leaving this.
You'd rather solo queue for 8 hours straight or skydive?
Definitely skydive. Solo queuing is worse.
Not a single part of my body is nervous, but I'm sure. Ask me this question when we're there.
Any last words?
I hope I see you guys in New Orleans. If not,
the Falcons have been eliminated.
The Falcons have eliminated.
All right, let's walk over to the plane. We're going to go check out the sky.
I can't say it, but it's...
I'm nervous.
How you doing?
Oh, man. Let's go. Oh, sick.
Hey, man, despite what you're going to see on the final product, because I had to act scared, and that's all you'll see, I had a blast. Would I do it again? Yeah, probably. It's scary, yeah, it's real. Like, I literally am, but I felt so, like, safe, basically.
Yeah, when you got strapped on there to the guy, you're like, okay, if I'm dying, he's dying.
It was great, though. Everybody handled it cool. Nobody freaked out.
Yeah.
Hal cried a little, I think.
Okay, that's a lie. That's a lie.
We do it for you. This is what we're doing it for.
This is Apex, baby.
Come on, man.
This is
Take
Apex.
it to the extreme. It was a fun day, man. You know, I think there's a bond. You know, it's not exactly going to war, but, you know, it's something similar where you're actually putting your life on the line. But we felt so safe. I mean, Hal obviously has been to the extreme just a few weeks before. It's got to mean that anything he's facing here, he knows he's faced harder challenges there. That was a fun little behind the scenes. Shout out to Red Bull as well for setting us up. And Hal, he looks focused.
I'm curious. You know, I've not been skydiving. I always wanted to.
Yeah.
When the chute pulls,
right.
What does that feel like? Is it a tug? Does it hurt? Like,
yeah, it
do you feel like you're gonna die?
Yeah,
or
no, it hurts. Actually, it's crazy because that's the scarier part, I think, because you're up in the air and you're really just now you're moving slowly, right? You're just like looking at the ground, going, "Oh man, if I slip out of this, it's over." And you're kind of loose, which is funny. So the tension of the parachute kind of keeping you up is what makes it feel secure. But up until that moment, you're like, "Man, I might slip out of this thing." I seriously, like this, you know, it's not like it's over. Like that's what I will say. But it was really fun. They let us kind of like turn and glide and all that stuff. But I mean, it was a memorable experience. I was acting. You know, I did 9 takes of being scared, I will say.
I mean, so now you've conquered the sky.
I've conquered the sky.
You're conquering the couching
space
setup
is next.
here.
Yes.
What's next?
What's next? The ocean. I feel like for our next tournament, I think something water related, because I guess the next thing. The scary thing for me would be like swimming with sharks, something like that. I'm not trying to give you guys ideas.
We can get like a whole like Mirage Voyage setup, you know, Apex on the sea. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, little like a floaty raft or something like that, some lost at sea bit. I don't know. Our content team is always throwing us in crazy situations. It is really fun, though, and I think the cool thing about it, too, was like knowing this tournament was up, knowing these guys were going in it. They all had their own story that in many ways was like, I'm jumping out with this unknown conclusion in this tournament too, right? Timmy going in with his team and trying to rebuild this idea of NRG in our space, but also like Hal and Falcons from super team idea, I feel like that's gone. I feel like they're just trying to say we're a group that's trying to mesh, that's trying to win, and we're just trying to prove that here the best that we can, Ben. So it was cool to see the similarities of the journeys of just kind of letting go and being open to what comes next.
So then what was your journey?
I was just, they just told me I had to be there. I'm not going to lie. I was hesitant. That was my journey. But
I do think that it maybe symbolizes for Hal trusting Zero, you know, strapping himself in and just saying,
if
Zero.
I die, he dies too.
Exactly.
No, you saw there, you know, Timmy, like, he's done it before, and he was just like, gravity take me.
Known fact about unknown. I dove probably now 7 times. So he's close to being able to do it by himself. The guys were pretty impressed with him, and I was too. Timmy definitely was the confident one outside of me and Hal. All jokes aside and all fun aside there from Red Bull, it's time to get back into the action. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And hopefully you enjoy these two because they're some of my favorite to listen to. It's Dia and Graceful back on the mic to finish off our series here. What's up, guys?
It feels good, Rainday. Fills me with confidence, the same confidence that you were talking about Timmy having moments ago. Graceful, that confidence going to be necessary for some squads. We already saw Falcons really pick up theirs in the last map. And Falcons, funnily enough, are about to head on to the map that is, by all means, statistically their favorite. They put up an insane amount of points on Storm Point. On average, 15.7 points per game, which is wild when you think about how many we're really asking teams to achieve at a bare minimum.
I mean, we say wild, but it's also something everybody was expecting with us. How many predictions have gone their way? You know, people have been waiting to see them here, essentially. Not necessarily in the lower bracket, but, you know, the potential has always been there. We've seen their heights. You know, are they finally just warming up?
How many times am I going to not pick Falcons before I finally pick Falcons? Every time I'm like, no, it's not their time. And every time that I don't pick them, I watch people fly me by in the points. Catalyst, Newcastle, and Alter all banned as we move on to Storm Point. Catalyst Newcastle missing on Storm Point is going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, this is one of the prime maps where Newcastle and Catalyst excel due to the fact that the playable area in a lot of these zones is very minimal. So you kind of have to create your own one. And when you have two characters that cannot extend, you know, that could extend, but you no longer have them in game to use them to extend fights and or create your sanctuary, so to say, is very tough. And some people opt more to close fights faster, which is why we tend to see a lot of aggressive team comps instead of trying to make maybe a pseudo-defensive comp, so to say.
I'm expecting to see a lot of Ashe for that very reason, right? You want to close the gap quickly, and that actually may snowball into an Ashe ban in future games, which could throw even more question marks into the mix. Things like Bangalore, things like Wraith start picking up in priority, and actually, since we're on Storm Point, Fuse as well is going to be super valuable. I mean, we've already seen Fuse be very valuable at the open, but when we get into open spaces like this, when you don't have cover, man, it is going to be really nice. With Zero piloting the Ashe this time around, it's worth highlighting, as Genome said, the guy who stole all the kills last game, but has been doing very, very well for the Falcons, not just in actually picking up the kills, but of course in IGLing the squad.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. Zero has been able to do this for a very long time, from winning several LANs to now making a super team. And now, you know, people have been having their doubts online whether or not the discussions between the teams, which isn't always necessarily bad, is going to affect them going into this LAN. And, you know, some might argue, yeah, it did, they're in the lower bracket, but some might also say, hey, they've been slamming the lower bracket.
Yeah,
They're waking up.
And I will say, of all the teams to have a little bit of anger fueling them, Falcons seem to take that anger and turn it into some pretty fantastic results. So being in the Elim bracket, having the pressure on, may actually be a situation that is benefiting them much more than it is other teams proportionally. I'm looking at a squad like Complexity, who I had predicted coming into the day. It's been a little bit slower for them, although they're still in a position where we could see Complexity qualify. That being said, there are squads like Complexity that I would say, you know, when the pressure is on, maybe it starts becoming a little bit worse for them and they have to start to quell those nerves individually.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. I think this is one of the maps where they can, you know, now it's do or die. It's the last 3 games. They have to do something, but this is the map to do something because there's a lot of playable areas and you can fight depending on the zone. Like right now we saw the zone is pulling south, more towards the south of Pylon potentially, or maybe even a little bit more towards the coastal campsite. These areas are very fightable and people are already opting to stay very aggressive. Like Complexity we saw now is already looking to take a fight.
I thought that Skynet was going to land. I was pretty sure. Funk on an off angle with the 30-30 can open things very well for the team, but isn't going to get the opportunity to. Starts getting outflanked and backs off to Kimchi, who will be able to hold things down for him. Complexity look for an angle right now. They haven't been able to find one, and Envy's dropped down very quickly. That's a 1-for-1 right now. Make it a 1-for-2 in favor of Envy. Even though it's a fight Complexity started, it is a fight that Envy finish.
This is one of the exact same reasons I keep talking about triple swinging. Envy triple dropped or slid down on them, immediately wiped 3v2. Monsoon won again, once again, we saw it yesterday as well. Caught off guard, far away from his team. It was a 3v2 and they just cleaned that fight. We cannot have this happen in this match right now, which it just did. 2 more rounds to go and they got to bring it back somehow.
Yeah, it's gonna be really tough. An even more difficult road for a team like Complexity, but Envy, who were sitting at 13th, do desperately need the points to put themselves in a safer position for qualification. YBR, who start off in Coastal Camp, should be able to place top 3 from here, and it's worth highlighting a squad who actually, start in Barometer and should still have priority to do very well in this zone.
I mean, right here, Voodoo is getting down by Blast. GD has been hot, still in first place after 2 great games, being able to close out games that they should be closing out with when they had Pyro earlier. FWG on the run right now as they're trying to reset and saying, hey, we can't play center zone right now. We just got to make sure we make it out alive.
And that's really difficult because it's FWG that land at Coastal Camp, and them being taken out, being pushed out of zone, having 1 person left, having to negative rotate and likely sacrifice a lot of the placement points that they would otherwise get is a complete unseating of what should have happened for them in this game.
The scary part about having zone on top of you sometimes is if you don't get good RNG and have a ton of loot to sustain all the way into late game, that means you're under geared. So when a team comes from a different POI, they not only loot their POI, they also get rotational loot in the forms of other, you know, smaller buildings, bins, etc. So they come in more stacked, and when they come in more stacked to take a fight against you, especially if you're on triple wide armor, it's not really an even fight.
Zesty Besties starting to take their own fight up against X and Y. We are going to see a lot of engagements around the edge of the ring for teams that like to play either on the edge or at the mid speed. At this point in the game, they're going to be sharing a lot of space. Aurora do hit a quick respawn, so will get back into the game themselves, a team that desperately needs points.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was rooting for them yesterday. I'm always rooting for my friends. However, they haven't really seemed to have found their footing across, you know, most lobbies they have played in. So is it too late in going into this match now? The reset will definitely give them a second win, so to say.
Everybody just fishing for kills right now, looking for an opportunity, a team that's caught a little off guard on rotations. Because we mentioned Aurora and the respawn that they were able to pull off, it's worth noting that squads like that, like Liquid Alienware, who are moving in from the north, maybe at a disadvantage when it comes to rotating into squads that are looking to pick a fight. Perhaps a team like Arnett, who are starting to move out, seek out a fight against heroes. I don't think this is going to catch, though. If I'm honest, Graceful, everybody seems to be playing, as we enter onto Stormpoint, quite scared.
Yeah, people are prioritizing rotating a little bit earlier than normal. Arn, however, is looking to take it. You know, I saw them take a fight earlier as well. They might only have 9 points currently, but they have been being very proactive in wanting to take fights. And if they can maybe just clean it up a little bit, maybe they can catch somebody off guard. But it looks like a little too late.
I'm thinking so. Maybe this last kill going to go down, but the triple take not quite connecting. Always difficult for me to be so consistent with the triple take. It takes a lot of time to learn how to use that. FWG, good news for them, do manage to pull off a respawn, however, so after being unseated over at Coastal Camp, they're going to have another chance at life, where Aurora I think that's doing the typical Aurora things, not really engaging with the rest of the lobby until it is much later. The problem will be with Team Liquid Alienware coming up behind them. Have Aurora anticipated this rotation?
Yeah, farming the Spooters for a little bit more gear after having a rough start needing to reset is a good beginning. Luckily, they didn't get caught off guard by Team Liquid here, and they're just rotating.
I mean, credit to Aurora, especially if they're able to hit the survey beacon down at Bean. They'll have an idea that Liquid Alienware are behind them. 9 Lives actually in front of them. So Aurora also potentially in a bit of a pinch if Liquid Alienware choose to rotate down to the south. We've got a couple kills going down in the kill feed, however, and it's the Zesty Besties that are in trouble as Corinthians get eliminated.
Yeah, Zesty Besties down to the last guy, wrapping right here, looking to run away and reset the Asbolin, and the guys are duo still. Making sure that they still stay in the game, because only Circle 2 in, you have more than enough space to reset far away. And these guys are just very happy with getting the KP and loot. I think they've been holding it for quite a while, actually.
Yeah, X and Y don't seem keen on giving this high ground up, even as TSM go up to them. Maybe looking for a fight. In fact, I'd expect looking for a fight. When you're playing on the edge of zone like this, TSM are playing for the KP. Gent, thinking about using the Mother Load, is going to drop this, but I'm surprised to see it used so early when there's no initial damage for TSM on the fight.
I mean, it might have been used early, but it's already at 10%. You can pretty much shoot at like a frag grenade, so it's completely fine in my opinion. Fuse already seeing a lot of gameplay now as well, as we saw that Newcastle is gone as well. Panic fighting right now. Team Orchid looking to do a little sneak to see if they can catch somebody off guard. Sap on Envy is currently holding it down on the east side of the cannon.
With Heroes having lost one, Envy's chase does seem to be going pretty well. Remember, we've got Orchid, who are controlling this high ground, although as it stands, it is only Panic that's been sent out here, who on Ash does have a little more survivability, chance to get back to the team, but is solo holding the ridge and buying space for Team Orchid.
This is one of the spots that is very tough to hold later on, because that's when everybody starts looking at you. Earlier on, it's fine, but as people are slowly inching in, they're going to need to look several directions. As 9 Lions take down 2 members of Aurora, it's not looking too good for them, Dio.
No, and we knew these teams have been next to each other for so long. Aurora shadowing 9 Lives for the past 3 minutes, and now finally get turned on. Unfortunately, Oirain has to disengage, and on Crypto, yes, you've got the chance to pick everyone back up, but it's still going to be a tough road. YBR also going down, a squad that I'd expected to do a lot better, given that they land at Barometer, should have been able to play zone and are denied that opportunity. That's the FWG, who from Coastal Camp had to reset, come back and take out Aurora.
Aurora does get knocked down as OG Rain at least, does a trade, but it's definitely not enough for them to get any points.
FWG getting collapsed on though. 9 Lives noticed this, and remember we talked about Liquid Alienware coming from behind this FWG. Remember, should have been a good game for them, and now they are pinched in place of Aurora.
Looking for a great pinch hit as we move on to Falcons, however, mid-fight right now, getting 2 downs and a thirst as well. 0 going down, but I think they should be able to clean this up for a wipe. The question remains, however, can they survive the next wave of members potentially jumping on them as they are fighting in the middle of the zone?
Smother Load should make the res safe. I'd like to see Hal stick it just around now. Liquid Alienware are taking down FWG, who, as we mentioned, were in a pinch earlier and now are going to likely be taken out as the Zesty Besties are finished off by X and Y.
Yeah, I mean, seeing a lot of Fuse all over the place, people are really abusing the fact that people don't have Newcastle as much, and as well as Catalyst. He really excels. The same way we used to see before, where people are picking a legend due to the fact that, certain legends are in the game and or are not. Fuse is capable of abusing you now that you don't have, your own sanctuary made with Newcastle walls.
Omen have been silently doing very well this game. I've watched them pick up a lot of KP on the way in, and it's actually worth talking about. Cody and Sang, Arcane was talking about this earlier, wanting to give these 2 players a great experience at LEN. Cody and Sang are farming the top of the leaderboard right now, where TSM, unfortunately, are unable to make it in. It's clear that Cody and Sang are having to land the performance of their lives.
Ooh, dude found a timing to almost get it down right there. Fighting Light as well. Decide to jump back down as other teams are joining the fray. Nice fate so far, even dodged the EMP earlier on, but will it be enough as they get the rest and potentially the reset, because Gaming Gladiators played it safe by saying, hey, we tried, let's not lose our positioning just for some kills.
A lot of utility expended by Jet, but I have to say very worthwhile to get TSM the reset. Falcons starting to take down a few more kills. Well, Gaming Gladiators continue extending to try and take out TSM. The Skynades continue to reign in, however, and it's not going to be easy. Jet does go down as Lufka has a nice off angle. EMP going to go out as well. The Gaming Gladiators are slowly but surely winning this fight against a TSM that doesn't want to say die, but may not have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, great play from GG right here, taking out TSM on the cusp, but they didn't do it for free. They're getting immediately punished by G-Dolphin swapping up behind them right here, shooting them, looking to take their spot, but they also lose one on the way.
Tryhard Thor gonna play around the outside zone with the defensive motherload out in front of him. So it is just a reset on health bars as Falcons are the ones taking big space in Coastal Camp. Big space in what could, I would say, be Godspot. Finishing out Tryhard Thor, taking out Atlas. Falcons should have complete dominance over this area of Coastal Camp with just GG left in their sights and a duo of GG at that.
A duo indeed. We saw that just a 4P happening essentially, but everybody to each their own. As long as Falcons doesn't understand that they're a duo, I think they could be coexisting. Omid, however, Circle 3 closing on the west side of the map right now, waiting to hold teams out with that movement of the Ash TP for positioning. Really good TP by Cody, looking to hold teams out on his own with the charged up Rampy, making use of it, and Vicky is not very happy as now.
But he gets
Sang is
shot.
also blast and gets shot in the back by the hill.
Oh no, Liquid Alienware contributing to that Omit takedown in a big way, and now likely taking out FWG again. Remember, Liquid Alienware already took out 2/3 of this squad, and now after the reset get to grab Omit and FWG. This could be a huge game for Liquid Alienware.
Yeah, Liquid Alienware has really navigated throughout, you know, the cusp of this zone, all the way on the edges, going back in and back out, looking to see and find kills, and they made their way into the next zone, and they're actually sitting kind of comfortably going into the next one as well, closing.
I can't believe they got that FWG reset fed right into them with Omit. And now they've got the hillside as well, overlooking all the teams that need to exit Pylon. Absolutely the next area of the map where we are going to see a lot of action happen.
Zone pulling straight into Devastated Coast, right on top of Falcons and Gaming Gladiators right there. They are feeling really good about this zone potentially. Liquid Alienware as well, not in a bad spot at all to get more KP, because all of the zones, all of the teams right now on the northern side of the zone have to rotate in. The likes of Envy, the likes of Alienware right now are looking to hold them out and get more KP. But will they be able to do that without also, you know, it being very messy, because it could go either way. One Ash TP the wrong way or on top of a team can just start a fight in a completely different direction.
That'll be the very delicate balancing act. 3 squads still in zone. Monster, Falcons, Game, and Gladiators. They don't have much to do for the next couple of minutes. But in 30 seconds, it's going to be time for, like you said, Envy and Liquid Alienware to balance their aggression with picking up a whole lot of KP that could be coming their way. Liquid Alienware have already been noticed. I believe that's Team Orchid that are starting to shoot out the tethers, make sure that Liquid Alienware know that they're aware a fight is coming. These kills are not going to be free, if coming at all. I want to take a listen in with Team Liquid, see how they approach this as the rounds close in 5 seconds.
¿La rompemos el balón o no? No, no.
Yo jalo.
Dale, rómpelo. Rompo el otro también, rompo el otro.
Me vaqueo ya con favores yo. ¿Me estoy moviendo con favores,
Estoy rompiendo el balón, Agarran. Lo intento pegar, Roto, one. Mate.
Lo ¿TP de una o qué?
¿Ustedes están viendo ahí, no? ¿No le suben?
No.
Acá.
Dispara, güey.
Y marca, mira acá. Están lanzando respawn. Roto el de respawn.
Me rompieron. No le tengo ángulo. ¿No tenemos zona,
Sí. Voy a ir bajando ahí poco a poco.
Te digo que TP de una.
Date, si quieres TP.
Hay un equipo acá.
Tengo zona aquí, pero estoy medio mal porque tiene fuse.
Voy con ustedes, voy con ustedes.
Tengo dos y es TP.
Termina de izquierda.
No es mal TP, güey, pero...
Oye, ¿lo viste muy adelante, no? Sí, era atrás.
Estamos bien, ¿no? Tenemos buena zona.
No, what? Está a la izquierda.
Lanzos Candy. Me mataron.
Liquid Alienware, I think they do a good job farming a couple kills. They don't get overly greedy though, immediately rotating into zone now, not focused by too many teams. Rez gonna go out on Jaguaris, and I say should Liquid Alienware be able to recover. But looking over at the north, Team Orchid were able to survive out of Pylon, and they are a big question mark coming from the north. They also contributed to the elimination of X and Y, but I'm seeing Envy take pieces out of them now.
I mean, the zone is really big for the amount of teams left up alive. People are just a little bit afraid of making the first move because everybody's just way waiting on teams to start a fight. Envy already got a couple of kills like we talked about earlier, holding out teams, looking to take more space here because they should be able to abuse, and they are.
Yeah, when you get Krabered like that in the mid game, it's over for you, unfortunately. Orchid have nowhere to run. Drop thinks about the Kraber, but we'll play it safe with the P2020s. Taking out yet another squad, but having lost Sykes on the way, it will need to be a quick reset for Envy. Zap maybe going to pull this off, but instead going to play cover on the Fuse. Arcstar's coming in, but nobody's really able to push Envy, who are too far away to actually be a safe bet.
Yeah, I'm looking for Envy here to get even more KP, as they are the ones who are forcing the fight on top of people. Falcons getting EMP'd, potentially for a repositioning, as he jumps straight back down low. They are still in the zone, even in this building, but they should be opting to play more space later on. But they're getting pushed right now by GG, who made the EMP play, as GG wipes Falcon.
Very nice play by GG, recognizing weakness with the EMP as it happens. They give no space, no quarter, and as Monster falls, so do Falcons. And Game and Gladiators are the ones large and in charge. On top now, coming back to take the spot that Hal just gave up is Light.
I mean, they gave it up and they went back inside of a building where they got triple angled, essentially. Na'Vi tried to jump up on top of them after that, but didn't decide to full commit because they got scared. Potentially they saw the armor, potentially they saw the HP if somebody was a little bit higher than they wanted to. GG has the top positioning right now, as zone actually ends just a tiny bit underneath them.
Envy going to be a big focus here as well. They've got zone basically on top of them. And a big question for me is going to be whether somebody actually sends Envy, whether, say, a team like Team Liquid looks at Envy and decides we would like their spot, we would like to gamble on this 3v3 to potentially win the game. Dropped having to navigate both those angles right now, does have the Kraber in order to change a fight very quickly if necessary, but Envy, Game and Gladiators, top and bottom of the lobby are going to be your focuses.
Envy is in a prime spot to close out the game if they can do well-placed bang ult into Fusel to just deny space and on them getting jumped. If they can do that, they can potentially close this out, but if not, because there's no Newcastle walls, there's no Catalyst ult to stall the fight, you know, you have to make sure your util is perfect.
It's a time where you'd really love to have a Catalyst, you know, just wall things off, make sure that nobody pushes you, but that's not available to anyone. Na'Vi also going to be having a lot of pressure put on them, specifically on how they use the EMP. We saw it be critical for GGG to take the fight up against Falcons. It can be critical as well for Na'Vi to take a fight up against GGG.
I mean, I think people are terrified of Envy because they saw the PK, they saw the Kraber. That's not a team that you want to just run into, most likely. But the team that's playing underneath GG as well, Na'Vi and Liquid Alienware are a little bit closer. Liquid Alienware is actually second slowest into the zone, as Envy is the safest. Na'Vi and Gaming Gladiators are the two teams that have to make plays right now. Will one team swing east, or will they just fight?
And the Gladiator's going to absorb the EMP. Remember, we know that's from Na'Vi underneath them, but a drop onto, or rather a zip up to height will keep them safe as Na'Vi take a completely different angle, choosing instead to fight Envy. Team Liquid Alienware jump on top of them. Game and Gladiators play things safe on the height, and I'm sure are wondering what is going on beneath them. Throwing out the motherload, throwing out a few grenades. You fish for kills onto Liquid Alienware, but Liquid have done very well and should stick a reset.
This is a great example of Envy just being pushed by Liquid Alienware here, right, as well, as Na'Vi went for the east side, opted for that. Now, Envy was in the worst spot. GG is chilling on top of it, but they should be getting forced out soon. But with enough nades, do I see so many nades here? Oh my god, he's going to be spamming, but Light goes down to frags. They should be able to get the reset and potentially smack down on them with all the youth.
It's like a mini Gibby ult just being thrown onto Game and Gladiators, and Na'Vi are so focused on this that Liquid Alienware should be able to walk up for free from behind. Yeah, we've got trade, but in this 3v3, it is Liquid Alienware that are left untouched, and it is Liquid Alienware that come back and take a huge game on Storm Point.
Liquid Alienwares played all the way from edge, navigated through the mid speeds to even slow, came in, took the west side, got that great positioning they just had. But you know what the best part was? They heard the EMP hit GG on top that potentially Na'Vi could do something, even though they just rotated with it. Opted to fight Envy, who had Kraber and PK, won that 3v3 and closed out the game in a very perfect fashion.
Yeah, I mean, it was very fast fights from Liquid Alienware, and that's exactly what we know this squad for. It's the Liquid Alienware that whenever we see them pull off a game like this, we go, ah, it's a return to form. Watching them be able to take 3v3s at the mid and close ranges, take them quickly, decisively, and in a way that is, when they're at the top of their game, one of the best in the world.
Yeah, most definitely. Really strong fighting team. Their fighting prowess is off the charts when they are on the same page. we've seen what they can do so far. Waking up to this level, they are feeling more than comfortable going into the next rounds with that fight and that last game.
The addition of Kurev as well, I really like those G7 shots. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Liquid Alienware, a 25-point game. Very nicely played for them. Up next, Na'Vi actually playing the second place pretty well. What did you think about that ending? Because, you know, when we were looking at it, I was going, well, you know, Liquid Alienware are coming. You know, Liquid Alienware are coming. I got to imagine Na'Vi knew that Liquid Alienware were coming. They just didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest mistake was using the EMP to road to the east was completely fine. Yeah. Not joining the fight for guaranteed second and more KP is very questionable. Yeah. They are indeed playing for the win, but it's a little bit too much up in the hands of the other people rather than making it into your hands. I would rather take second place with 3 more, you know, with 3 more extra kills, etc.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gaming Gladiators, I'm also looking at that end game fight. I'm on the roof going, why are Liquid and Na'Vi not fighting? What have I done wrong? I mean, it feels really rough in a position like that, but Gaming Gladiators did such a good job of getting themselves points on the way that they actually placed second in terms of the overall points simply due to kills.
Yeah, I mean, I think that leading up until that point, they played phenomenally. They killed out TSM on the east side as well with the GG, but I start to wonder, I would really want to see dive into stats and look at that as well, is that the team that plays from on top of the crane, or on the sniper nest essentially, don't they always tend to lose? I feel like it's very, I kind of want to look into that.
It's difficult, right? Actually, the position that Envy had, or that Liquid actually ultimately inherited, becomes a really nice one because no one really wants to look at you, especially once you get into top 3, and it's not as easy as Liquid just taking a quick fight. A check-in with our series results, however, that game puts Liquid Alienware in a very safe position. We've got 2 games left to play, and Liquid Alienware having 46 points, being third from the top, does secure them moving on to the next round. It is for teams like Envy, Omit, Zesty Besties, and Atlas that you've got to be a little bit nervous, and maybe you have some hope for teams like Monster, FWG, and Arneb.
Yeah, most definitely. Top 5 feels safe. The rest is, you know, it is what it is. Feeling, at some point, you just have to recoup and go again. That's just how it goes. Sometimes, you know, things just don't roll that way.
That's certainly true. There's a lot that's up in the air when we're on these Storm Point games, but you've really got to dial in because all these teams, the bottom 10 of them especially, on the verge of elimination with only 2 games left to come back. We're going to take a break, then we'll come back with more games.
Nobody do it better than me, not incredibly. I do this competitively, uneditably. Falling silent when I walk up in the building. Worry about their future like I'm here to snatch their children. That line was brilliant. It's about to get critical. This moment is pivotal. Here to feed the streets, they say my influence umbilical. We gon' make it grimy. They gon' get behind me. Told you I'm the best. I done said it with my chest, so for real, nobody try me. Down in the new town, I already feel that it's guys on me. I'm getting hooked up down with these big rounds. They already thrown by the size of me. Truth rounds with my new stuff. I will not live in the poverty. Going to catch your breath for a second. Look at your neighbor and check in. We bout to march, so if you not, get to stepping. I done told you who I am, but I'm a force to be reckoned with. I think just be mad because my voice is so decadent. I'm setting the precedent. No mistakes and no accident. We ignoring the standard set because our lowest is passionate. This alone is a classic hit. I'm a firm amongst adjectives. If the industry foolish, then my words is a laxative. It's just go time. It's showtime. I ain't calming down until this place is a ghost town. Tired of the fake before we bring it back no town. No staring this go round. I'm taking no prisoners, so prepare for a showdown.
Alienware, the official PC of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Todavía tengo Nate, no gasté nada.
Dale, dale. Yo tengo
Le voy a
todavía.
tirar Nate, el team de arriba, le voy a tirar Nate, el team de arriba.
Tiro también. El otro tiene a la izquierda, el otro tiene a la izquierda,
Agarra uno nada más. Dale, dale.
Tiro Nate.
Está acá abajo, frente. Está muy bajo, ¿tienes eso algo? Pique izquierda. Dale. Roto. Huevo, vale, fuse. Salto, loto. Está yendo, vaya. Roto, Cristo, muerto.
Nice, amigo, bien ahí, man. Sólido. Bien ahí, man, bien ahí.
A chaotic endgame, but what looked like a clean finish from the outside for Liquid Alien, where, yes, that's right, we're back here at the ALGS Open in New Orleans with the now 4th game in the elimination bracket. 2 games left for these squads to secure their spot in the top 10 or be going home, or rather be going into the audience.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, going into the audience, as we saw as well with the promotion from, RKN, saying that when you're watching, when you're out and you're watching your other competitors living the dream, essentially, it feels a little bit void, So they definitely don't want to be feeling that. Nobody wants to be feeling that. They want to stay on stage, have that light on top of them, and perform. And they still have 2 more games to go, so it's not out for anybody, essentially. If you have one big pop-off game, that can shoot you right up on top of the cusp of making it.
Speaking of Arcan, I think he's got a decent shot of making it to the next round. I was talking up Cody and Sang during this last game for just a second because GGG was busy farming TSM at the moment. But Omid have actually done very, very well in this tournament, and that's in large part due to, I'm sure, Arcan's calling. But again, huge credit to Cody and Sang.
Yeah, I mean, Cody, phenomenal individual player. Both of them are, Sang as well. Arcan has the experience. I talked to him as well a lot, and he says, yeah, I wish, even said, I wish I had more time to play, but at least, my experience is helping me. So we see to an extent, but at the end of the day, you also need the new, fresh perspective from these young guns and the mechanics from them, and making that solidify into a solid team overall. Yes, they have more than a chance to make it into the next round.
Yeah, and certainly a lot of other squads are going to be looking at these players and their performance in the Open, thinking about what their future looks like, right? I mean, RKN does dip in and out of the ALGS every now and then. For those who don't know, recent father, so that's been the big time commitment that has changed for him recently. And like you said, he's also able to lean on years of experience as an IGL in order to pilot this squad to a very close to top finish, even as we're in the later stages of the elimination rounds. This is further than most teams made it.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. Team Falco is a great example as well. A lot of these teams that have bad games have a hard time bouncing back. Falcons, on the other hand, after game 3, feel really good, even going into this game. I wouldn't be too mad. A lot of the time, as long as you can navigate of where is the zone ending, potentially, and do we have a winning chance from this spot that we are potentially fighting for, I think that game is okay. People aren't too mad about that. If you, however, are getting caught on macro, if you're getting caught on other stuff or tiny mistakes that cost the game, that's when you really look at it. So I think that they can probably mentally reset most of these teams and make it deeper.
I'd love to take a look at the draft of this game because we didn't get to talk about it too much leading into this. Priority is really important. Since we started on E District and then moved over to Stormpoint, it was curious to see that teams like Orchid, Omit, XNY, Corinthians, TSM, Nine Lives, I think Envy and Liquid, it's the complete list, chose instead to prioritize E District over Stormpoint. From a competitive perspective, do you align with that? Like, would you rather be prioritizing Stormpoint or E District?
Oh, definitely E-District. Any map that you have less experience on is the map that you want to. First and foremost, you have maps that are more competitive viable in a sense that you can play from every POI. That's just by default really good. And then you have maps that you're just not comfortable on or you don't have as much experience on. You want a easier spot on that map compared to Stormpoint, which we have a lot of experience on. They know how to play it. So teams opting for that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. I was sitting here going, I think I'd rather play from Vibe Isle than Trident, but it's been difficult for some teams to adapt, to understand exactly what E-District necessitates at a top level, since this is the first tournament in the ALGS where we are really seeing every map showcased, or at least the number that we have right now. Stormpoint, of course, going to be our next map as we return to it for our last 3 matches. Liquid Alienware, big win in our last one. And now with the Ash ban, we had predicted this coming into this particular set of games. Ash no longer being available really hampers your ability to jump in on a fight, and I expect to see Bangalore and Wraith likely picked up as replacements.
Yeah, I mean, you mainly pick Wraith to have the same frontline capabilities potentially, but what this actually does as well is that fights will last longer because you can't close them out as fast as with an Ashe TP and or Snare. Fights will also, meaning that sloppier fights that, you know, they will probably survive. Teams will be more alive than before due to the fact that you can't close out fights. And also now, if you have Wraith as well, teams that have an excellent frontliner, like we saw, you know, like Nia Sul, we've seen other Wraith players that are just like dominating from that positioning, creating space for that team, getting that first pick and getting out after re-engaging. Those teams might even stomp now.
Help me out for a second. I'm seeing a lot of Mirage on stage, a lot more than I had anticipated seeing, and I am not a Mirage hater, I'm a Mirage lover in my solo queue games. Why are we seeing so much Mirage as opposed to something like Lifeline that is a little more literally hands-off when it comes to the reses?
I mean, if you look at which slot he is being played in, like in the team compositions, you want to keep that aggressive pattern on top of you. Although Lifeline might be more defensive-wise, and you might have, you know, her ultimate and stuff. Mirage, just having one Phoenix, you can immediately turn a fight due to the fact going in with it and then popping up and immediately downing somebody. So it's one of those things where I like to say, you don't want to spread thin. You don't want a little bit of control, a little bit of offensive, a little bit of defensive. No, you're either all in offensive, you're all in defensive, or you want to stack to amplify the power of the team compositions, mainly.
I see, I see. Well, Liquid Alien, we're certainly hearing that, have Jaguares on the Mirage. So the aggressive tendencies of this squad certainly going to be amplified when you've got Ballistic, Mirage, and Bangalore running at you. You're not only going to die very quickly, you're also not going to know what's going on as it happens.
Yeah, I mean, one thing as well is that, you know, Mirage decoys, when you shoot, you have awareness from that as well. So it kind of synergizes well with Bang, and Ballistic alone just enables everybody with that ultimate. So oppressive, so good, so fun to play. Maybe last a little bit long, but I do like seeing competitions like this where, you know, we've gone from having support meta, we've gone from having a little bit more offensive, and now we have a little bit of a mixture as teams are mixing between, oh, do we go Newcastle Watson, or do we just go all out defensive with Ballistic and Mirage and Bang?
A team like Liquid Alien, where composition or no, will have a relatively short distance to go to the ring. The subsequent one, however, pulling us a little further into the east, and it's X and Y and Team Orchid that get the benefit of being able to loot up their POIs, set themselves up for a good spot in end zone. We actually saw this bite FWG last game as Game and Gladiators came in and took out a few of them, forcing a reset. But Team Orchid actually managed to do pretty darn well. Despite not making top 4, they made it pretty late into our first game. If they can take this zone that's pulling to them and transition it into an even better game than that, they'll secure themselves a spot as they're already top 4, maybe even in the top 2, or can test Game and Gladiators for the first place.
That's what makes a mid-team a great team. When you have the zones that are ending on top of you, you have to be able to adapt and win those games and close them out. Like we saw GG, they had priority to both zones on the first 2 maps, they closed them out. That's what makes a great team. A lot of the time, teams tend to almost also play a specific way. If you're an Edge, I'm Edge every game. But if the zone ends on you and it's a free game, you need to be able to close that out regardless of your play style. And I think, you know, the likes of Falcons, likes of GG, and other teams that are opting for more zones that they know how to play and end, that's what we need to see more out of some teams.
I've been surprised by the Atlas playstyle. Since they're currently going up against Na'Vi, I'll take a moment to talk about them. Atlas, specifically Black Venom, blew me away in the Challenger circuit with some aggressive play. Was playing a lot of Revenant at the time when he was coming up as a player, and even now, I'd expected to see Atlas transition that into trying to contest other zone teams. But as we're getting into higher and higher caliber lobbies, we're seeing Atlas's playstyle almost opposite to that, become much more conservative.
This is one... It's a tough choice, Dia, because now you have we've practiced this certain way all the time. We're gonna pop this out on LAN. It doesn't work. Like, if it doesn't work in a few amount of games, you now start doubting yourself and you go, is it our playstyle that's not working? Do we have to adapt to the lobby? And some might say, no, you practice this for 6 months, you should keep doing it even if you lose. Some say, no, you need to adapt and do better. And I think they're opting to, let's try to switch things up and see if it plays better to this lobby.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. And G-Dolph does have a lot of experience across multiple levels of competition. Yeah. So I think relying on that experience to make sure that you perform well in the ALGS Open, where you are going to be going through a lot of layers of competition. I mean, the first day was very first round to CCS, right? Farm as many teams as you can. Once we get to ELIB round 4, it's a very different story.
Yeah, most definitely. And this is what we always like to say, that, you know, throughout the whole tournament, it changes in levels the same way CC does as Pro League as well.
Omit setting a trap for Liquid Alien where this could be big. They know what they're doing, playing on this side of the building. You're waiting for Liquid Alienware to step one step too far. Cody on the roof.
I mean, how long do you give this a chance before you stop? I think they are hearing maybe even footsteps at this point. As we are waiting for a ambush. You gotta close this out fast, as they might have heard a footstep. No, they seem to not have recognized it.
Jaguar's gonna come up on the roof. Cody should be ready for this, but he's the one that gets beamed by Jaguar's instead. The trap is sprung, but who's actually trapped in here with two? Nice revved up Rampage is going to take out Jaguar's, despite Liquid Alienware's observation that they were in fact being trapped. They weren't able to stop the 1 KP from going down. Jaguars fortunately was able to give enough warning to the squad that Kurev and Nezul escape without a scratch.
I mean, I'm very happy to turn that into a KP. Still a little bit, was he not ready? Did he not hear him? You know, there would have been a climb, would have been a footsteps. Even if silent, you can still hear it as long as he's not crouching properly. I mean, hey, charge up Rampy. I'm happy Rampy is finally here. It's a fun weapon. A little bit too much ammo, but very fun to play when he's ramped up.
Yeah, I mean, you say that. I heard you talking about the P2020s yesterday.
Oh, hell no.
If you could nerf the Rampage or the P20s ammo capacity,
yeah,
I know what you're picking. That's all I'm saying.
Every day. Yeah, P20 every day.
Arneb, no, not being nerfed at all right now. Have a lot of space themselves up against the Corinthians. X and Y going to go down. Meanwhile, it's elsewhere on the map, but Arneb really focused on this fight up against Corinthians. EMP even being invested offensively. Finding Flesh. Not actually able to get a knock just yet, and I think Arneb are likely going to have to give this up. The fight, the chase up against Corinthians would expose you to too much risk.
I like the proactivity that they have of wanting to take fights. I don't like the execution, the setup and the execution. Sure, the EMP hit them, but his teammate is not even in the fight. A good EMP can look like a little bit past or beyond to where you can slow them down and hit them, whilst your remaining teammates can also be in the fight is the most optimal one. Sometimes even hitting yourself with the EMP as a crypto is more than fine if you set it up properly, as your teammates can insta-wipe on that slow. But when we just see one person trying to one-mag, what are you going to do? You come up with a volley trying to one-mag 3 people that are slow? No, you're not going to do it. So yeah, a little bit more on the setup and execution, and I think they could be finding something very interesting there.
Yeah, I mean, Arneb will have the chance to pull off a similar play from the position and zone that they're in right now. A lot of teams are going to have to move in through Cascade. In fact, Corinthians may even have to do that once again. And Corinthians, a team that I'd love to see pick up the pace in this lobby. Sitting 15th right now. These players individually are the pride and joy of Brazil.
I mean, looking at the north side of the map again is Omid. Liquid Alienware. I don't know what's happening, but teams, like I said, when you have the same macros as other teams, you want to remove them out of the calculation, because now if you have the whole zone and your whole back free, you get to do what you have practiced, what you wanted to do this whole time, and they are really hunting everybody on.
I saw 9 Lives starting to move in around that area, so having Liquid Alienware, Omit, and the same place with Corinthians nearby as well.
Yep.
Of the teams. Also that slightly more conservative to sit around the middle of the hill right now. Ooh. Heroes taking their own fight up against FWG. Do need the points off of this, but Lahim hesitating to commit to the low ground. It's going to shoot Dark in the back, but get turned around and immediately fried. That was a deletion of Heroes by FWG.
It was immediately reacted as well by saying, hey, we got to relocate in case we're getting thirded. Honestly, I don't mind this at all. Better safe than sorry, because you only really have one life, you know?
Yeah, and FWG, they need the points. Sitting in 11th right now, right out of qualification. They'd love to get the 2 points necessary to push them into 10th place. If they can do that this game, all the better.
Falcons, as the trend normally is, mid-speed is what they're known for. Clearing out a little bit of the zone later on rather than early, coming in with a ton of loot. More than comfortable taking fights, as they also send in a drone to get some more objective knowledge. Omid, however, a little bit still on the cusp, like we said before. There's several teams here that have to get through and or rotate past.
Omid are facing down 9 Lives who are right in front of them. We mentioned a couple teams in this area previously. Liquid Alienware rotated all the way to the north through Lightning Rod. So as 9 Lives move through Cascade, it's Omid, TSM, and 9 Lives that are sitting out to the west of Command Center right now. And Omid likely going to have to shadow in 9 Lives because they can either choose this fight or go south towards FWG.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. The best part about this zone is, as well as that, you know, as Circle 2 is closing, is that you still have time for one more zone to do a wide rotate even in the zone. You can still out-heal it. So people aren't really too pressured as of yet. So you have time to scout. Where are the teams right now? Can I fight for something specifically? And if not, when do I fight for it?
Falcons really not having to worry too much right now since they've chosen to play the hill side. What and when they fight, it's going to be pretty darn clear. Teams that are coming up to them, that are exposed running up the hill, those are food for the Falcons. And I'm actually really concerned for YBR's rotation up to them right now. We jump back to Cascade, though, where 9 Lives are fighting Omid. And this is getting out of hand for Omid as 9 Lives, who were running before, turn and burn.
Yeah, I mean, fighting here in Cascades usually gets stalled out as well, but it seems like they're able to close out. No, they get third by being by a charge rifle, probably from Narnia at this point. Who knows who else plays charge rifle that close? So I don't even know. That will stall out the fight, though. Will it be a double reset, or should they be able to take this fight still?
Dude, I mean, if Corinthians are contributing to this fight, FWG are thinking about coming in, I'm left wondering, where is Omid? Because 9 Lives are all over that building, and Omid, after having lost just one member, have completely disengaged. 9 Lives now thinking about this. Do you really want to push into the charge rifle that just took you down?
Yeah, I mean, they're probably happy though still with the KP, a little bit of more loot. They had medkit as well to rotate into the zone, as Falcons is holding out, clearing their backs in a very good fashion here, as Young Black Ricky is trying to walk up the slope as they are getting held.
Falcons still pretty powerful position. We talked about this earlier. What should happen here is that any team like YBR that's trying to push up, from an academic perspective, should go down to Falcons. Big problem, though, as they get noticed by another squad. It's Atlas that gank Falcons from the side.
And this is the thing, if you're holding somebody out, somebody recognizes that is in position or close nearby to third party, will third party. Atlas takes out Waltzy as Imperial Hal is driving the Ferrari right now, trying to survive as well as he can to reset. And he's just praying that he's not driving into somebody at this point.
Nice thing about the Trident, it turns into cover when you get out of it. So Falcons should be able to survive. Zero on the Bangalore has a lot of survivability himself, but 9 Lives in the fight up against FWG are taking yet another. It's Cersei that's going to go down first, though, and FWG navigating this fight well. Need the points. That's 2 down. If they can get this third one, they'll push themselves right up into the 10th place. 9 Lives Esports go down, and FWG gets some much-needed points.
Voodoo with the charge up rampy wipes them out cleanly. 9 Lives Esports goes down. Very well played, having that angle of swinging when they weren't expecting, getting those free shots in essentially, as Falcons right now are also rotating and trying to survive. And also poor Arkean is getting held out from running away as a solo.
I think he dies in the air. No, never mind. Hal's gonna have to turn around. Doesn't get to finish that fight. Cody drops down on top of him. Surprise! Wow. Hal gets taken out, and it's Cody now with Sang that on the respawn get to herald RKN's re-entry into zone. If he makes it, I don't know. He might just take down the zone.
Yeah, I mean, great play there from Cody, getting that down as YBR right now fighting on the hill. He's just chilling. We can't see, okay, but that's fine. FWG, however, also looking to walk in with the zone closing right now, as Falcons is down to a solo also walking in.
No.
I'm not too sure he's going to get the reset here because he is only Bang. Will be very hard as a lot of these teams are already stacked on the west side of the map.
Those 15.9 average points per game going to start ticking down. FWG have isolated the last member of Falcons, or at least I thought they had. Dark actually has his back to this, and is picking another fight with TSM ahead of them. Zero's going to be coming in from the zone and ganks FWG from behind, taking out Voodoo. This could be a kill for Falcons, as Zero does not survive the full rotation, but FWG are much the worse for wear because of it.
Great play to get the down there. I think he should have thirsted it almost immediately if he could have. FWG not happy with that as they got down from the zone, now getting cleaned up essentially because they had lost one earlier on.
The Corinthians jump on this immediately. Finn going for the thirst, as you had mentioned, is beneficial earlier, and letting Complexity finish off FWG. Complexity maybe picking up a little steam here as they're sat center in Stormcatcher. Corinthians Getting EMP'd, however, do have Arneb coming up on them. And Arneb with a health advantage is not one that I would like to take a fight up against. Actually, full back away from Arneb, playing a little scared with the Corinthians on a full reset.
Yeah, I mean, they made a TP play trying to 3P. Not too bad. Once again, staying proactive. Maybe they could have gotten it. If they never tried, they never would have known. Yeah. Good effort to at least try to go for those KP if they could clear out a side.
Monster gonna go down, Omit picking up more kills. Remember, this is an Omit that has reset twice, by the way, and I believe is playing as a duo. We'll get to confirm that a little bit later. Young Black Ricky, who survived because of the Atlas gank onto Falcons earlier, now have priority over Atlas on this rotation. G-Dolph with the Havoc is making things much easier for them. Aurora going to go down, and Atlas run this hillside.
G-Dolphin actually probably, he either took the evac. Nice EMP placement as well.
Moving up from the low ground. They are a team in trouble right now and need this portal in a bad way. Let's take a quick listen in with Atlas, see if they survive.
We're not quite the zone. No, you're not.
I just put the jump.
Yeah, then look. Careful, look west.
Yeah, I want
okay,
to west.
we're okay.
I think it's good on me.
In front.
Yeah. In the open. Watch out. Put a stick.
No. Shoot that guy, please.
Dead. We gotta kill.
There might be another kill over there. And I think that let's try to clear west.
Okay.
Atlas have stabilized and so many teams have gone down in the meanwhile. While Atlas managed to rotate in, TSM managed to take down Corinthians in the north side of zone, putting them in a great position, TSM I mean, to win the game. Team Orchid still on top of Stormcatcher, have a good shot themselves in the game, and Gladiators have come in to take out Complexity. That's 2 members down as Omit fall as well. Complexity will be wiped by Light, and we're left with 6 teams left.
Gaming Gladiators not showing any signs of slowing down, taking every fight to every team, using excellent EMP plays into just raw 3v3 power, as Atlas right now as well is fighting underneath on the outside. This is actually a really good spot. The less team there is, the more space you have to actually punish people and get KP.
It is all up to Atlas to run the bottom floor. Anybody who's not in Stormcatcher should be being pressured by this Fuse that is constantly outputting damage. And that includes Liquid Alienware, who unfortunately don't really have a safe space to call their own. Think about trying the zipline. I am worried about this. We know that GG are right above them. Liquid Alienware now getting shot in the back, shot in the front, shot from all sides. It's like they're taking a bullet bath.
Yeah, I would most definitely take this 3v3 on the down below and just try to play as small as possible right now. Trying to go up and down the zipline, giving all the attention to is very hard. As now Kurev does exactly that. He's swinging with the charge up rapid, doing a billion damage on 1 HP, kills all of Atlas. And that's exactly what I'm saying. I would rather fight and win like Kurev did than just die to 5 people shooting me.
Dude, Kurev takes matters into his own hands. What a turnaround. 1v3 from Liquid Alienware. Maybe now a reset. We'll keep our eyes on the kill feed as it's Gaming Gladiators who are suffering right now, having just Light left. He gets shot in the back again, and of course it's Team Liquid who come up to take them down. In with 3 squads left, Liquid Alienware could be cooking up, should be cooking up their 2nd win on Storm Point.
This is a great spot for the moment, but the zone never ends on top of buildings nowadays anymore. So they're going to have to move from this spot when the 50 seconds has run out. Teams on the bottom probably will not be doing anything at all because they have the zone. TSM controls 90% of the zone right now. Team Liquid definitely needs to look to make a play because if they're just going to drop down, they're just going to fatigue and immediately get ripped. So making a play is definitely the moment now.
What you really want is some nice opening damage. Skittle Cakes is just keeping everyone on Liquid Alienware honest. And like you talked about, there's not a lot of options for Liquid Alienware on how they come down. No portals available on the squad. It really is Bangalore Smoke, Bangalore Ultimate.
Bangalore Ultimate indeed. If they can do one well-placed ultimate to either stall out the fight or keep somebody out of the fight, Smokes and Bangle is enough to stall out to potentially drop, and then Mirage just has to go first and go in with, and then we just take a 3v3.
You see the
They
smoke.
are making a play right now.
You see the Bangle. That means it's happening. Liquid Alienware pull the trigger, and they do manage to avoid getting beamed, one clipped as they come down. I saw one mag left in the Havoc. One mag left for Liquid Alienware to make this happen. Azul's gonna go for it right now, and with that one mag, he almost takes down Gent. It will still be a trade. Gent is ultimately finished by Kurip, and Liquid Alienware with the numbers advantage come down, smoke, and take out TSM!
Team Liquid Alienware on fire with that. Do you see the proactivity from them? They're the ones who first go for the Bangalore ult, for the Bangalore smokes, for everything, walking up and taking that fight. Sure, Kurip might have gone down, but he didn't go down without a fight. He did 190 damage at least, and that just showed up to, you know, make the fight easier for his team because it's not a one-man army. That whole team are just beasts.
It's 190 damage, like you say, plus 2 or more people looking at you during that fight, letting the rest of Liquid move in. When you have, again, one mag on the Havoc, that is exactly what you're supposed to do with it.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm very happy with the way they played that out. Even though they might have had a little bit of a scarier time earlier, they closed that game out with finesse.
Quickly turning into our kings of Storm Point. I'm liking what Team Liquid are giving us right now, a 26-point game as they continue on their chase up to Game & Gladiators, who didn't have a bad game either, sitting with 11 points in 5th right now on the finish, still actually placing themselves just in 3rd in terms of the overall points.
Yeah, I mean, we can also see on the leaderboard, in general, the teams that have had a lot of experience are placing very well. They know which spots are playable. They know which spots to fight for. A little bit more messy on the edge this game, I would like to say. Fights weren't really that clean. Could that be due to the fact that, you know, Ash was gone now? With, you know, it definitely shows, even with just one legend pick change, can change the whole dynamic of not only the team itself playing them, but also the lobby.
We're going to be shifting that once again. A quick comparison on our top 2 teams, that final 3v3, as we had Liquid up against TSM. There's such a world of difference between these teams in terms of the kills, but in terms of the damage, you can tell TSM's heads are in the right place. They're just not able to finish off the 3v3s.
Yeah, I mean, this is why stats, everybody has to remind yourself, even at home. Even if your ranked teammate has 5 million damage, if that 5 million damage is 500 charge rifle shots across the map that didn't help the fight that you died to, it does not matter. You need to make sure that you're killing the same stuff, sharing the same damage so nobody goes down, you know, for nothing, and close out the fight as fast as possible so you do have the time to either relocate or recover.
And as it is, that fight, that final 3v3 held just enough for TSM to make it into the top 10. They do still have one game though, and TSM have to hold on to that. A team like Envy right next to them, Omit, who managed to have a pretty good game. Those are your 8th, 9th, and 10th place squads. Those are the squads on the line. Zesty Besties, FWG, are Nom and Monster coming up behind them. Even Complexity in 15th have a shot. Hey, everyone's got a shot, but it's one more game to do it. One more game when we come back.
The human body was built to move. Not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. Ergonomically engineered for you. Gamers, hybrid workers, artists. Backing your every move.
Sony InZone's 27-inch M10S gaming monitor is tournament ready. Co-developed with Fnatic, it boasts a 480 Hz refresh rate with up to 0.03 milliseconds response time, allowing you to quickly spot and track enemy movements. Combine that with the 4mm small footprint base, and you've got a monitor that is as ready for competition at home as it is on the ALGS stage. Graceful, we have certainly seen some quick spotting, some quick tracking, and some impressive plays on these Sony InZones. What I'm looking for now is who's going to have the quickest, the fastest, the most impressive plays to clutch their spot in the top 10. As it is your last chance to do it and avoid going home.
I mean, you say it's your last shot to do it, but the average cutoff right now is incredibly low. All the teams up top have been soaking points left and right. Literally, nobody on the bottom of the leaderboard is out of it yet. It could go either way.
Yeah, even Aurora.
Why?
I feel like I need to tell that. I need to tell that to you.
Yeah,
I need to tell that to you. I mean, Aurora, they've had a rough day. They've had a rough tournament, managing to survive until today even. But looking a little further up on the leaderboard, I want to see things from Heroes, from Corinthians, who actually almost had a really good spot last game, and honestly, from anyone other than Team Liquid. What? Who gave them the license to take Stormpoint?
Yeah, I mean, they've been on fire. However, now though, Fuse being banned. Very interesting. You know, we saw a lot of util, a lot of nades, a lot of frags. People loved playing the frags. Will that change outcomes of fights? Because I would actually like to see how much frag grenade has a impact on fights, because we see so many fights start with a crack of a frag rather than just raw gun skill.
Yeah, now you're throwing out a lot of abilities and you're throwing out a lot of grenades, because if anything, in any situation in Apex, you don't want to be taking a fair fight if you can help it. So Sky Nades, really helpful. A little bit of extra zoning tool for your team as well, in the form of Arc Stars, Thermites, whatever it is. Now that Fuse, like we said, isn't available, all that is going to change. And it isn't going to change in the sense that people aren't going to start fights with nades, but they certainly can't start nearly as many, and they don't have the sustained poke that Fuse gives you.
Yeah, I mean, with all of these bans, honestly, it's kind of refreshing in a sense. For me, it's refreshing due to the fact that now you don't have as much saving grace from whether that be abilities or whether that be making your own space with Newcastle, whether that be by a billion nades through Fuse and utility like that. Now it mainly comes down to one ability, maybe that be EMP, and then you just gotta blaze with your gun skill. And when people come to that conclusion, you know, Roller in close range combat quarters, you see them all very, like, everybody can pop off with the double P20, and some people opting for Volt or SMGs. I love the R9 personally.
Yeah, R9 actually feeling pretty good this season. It's tough because P2020s are so good,
yeah.
But if you aren't picking up a P2020, the R99, we're really going to do you a lot of good. I'm seeing a lot of teams opt into Bangalore this particular round. I think that's totally understandable. Gives you a lot of the same assault perks that Fuse would. We're still seeing things like Ballistic be prioritized. Liquid Alienware still running the Mirage. I'm even seeing a few Watsons and Wraiths in the lobby.
Yeah, not a bad pick at all. I think that people, at this point, you know, we've kind of gone through the bigger changes of comps. It's either you went from defensive straight up into offensive, but now it's kind of like swapping out one piece at this point isn't that big of an impact. I think this game, the way it got played out, is going to look very the same as the previous game. As we also see, though, instead of the previous game, Zone is pulling northwest more towards the east side of the Beast, as we saw before, outside southwest of Northhead potentially. Very fun zone.
Yeah, you know, I think it's nice. Liquid Alienware, they've been having a tough time on Storm Points. So I think it's only fair that we give them a zone. Wouldn't you say, Graceful?
You know what? You say give them a zone, I'm fine with that. Can they close it out, though? We've seen them play zones that are far away from their POI. I keep telling you, they're not a mid-team, but let's just be honest. If you can't close out the games that you should be closing out, you know, you have something lacking.
That's true.
Could that be their flaw on Stormpoint? Maybe they can't close out the games that are on top of them, and they're just god-tier at everything that's super far away. That is very possible.
Yeah. Their edge play could be the key to success, you know? Well, this is the time to test that in, again, the highest tier lobby that we've had so far. As the days continue to go on, that is going to be a natural thing that you're going to hear quite a bit, because we're eliminating the teams that just don't make the cut. Liquid Alienware's position, however, still going to be challenged by squads like Omit, who start over at checkpoint and have a read on how many other teams are coming in with the survey beacon, and with the ring console, know that the next zone is going to be pulling basically right on top of them. I'd still like to see Omit move out of checkpoint, however, as it's not a very common place for end zones. You should opt, in my opinion, more towards North Pad. Does that sound about right to you?
Honestly, preference. Some people like to play donuts, some people like to play crevices, some people like to play more on the ocean side or the water side. However, I really do not like the triple wide armor straight into it, because you have to be able to, you know, take fights later on. Depends on where they set up, if they can join fights or not.
Aurora engaging up against Falcons, our only lifeline in the lobby. Fun fact. Also, I think our only Mad Maggie. Our first knock on Waltzy, first full finish on Waltzy as well. Answered back quickly on Oirain, however. Hal not giving up on this, evening up the fight, and buying space and time for Zero to emerge from the building. He might take down Kazakh as well. Nade at his feet does make things a little more difficult, but Falcons are still hoping to finish this fight off before you see that lifeline get a lot of value.
A little bit sad, though, about this fight. Aurora looking to fight, but we saw double charge Rampy, or maybe that was only Hal with all the 1 billion bullets. They are taking this fight really long, though. Hal might go down.
Goes back away for the moment. Hal actually frying with the RE45. That's why you pick it up. Impulse going to go down, and Zero from the roof now, buying a little more space and time as Oirain starts to close the gap. We did have a res go off, so still a 2v2. Still a fight that Aurora could take, but they got to play it correctly. Zero's on the roof.
Wait, did I? Yeah.
Aurora thinking about jumping up to this. You see the Maggie ball go a little bit wide, so not going to connect with anyone. Falcons regrouping on the inside. Still don't have Waltzy. Aren't going to get the chance to, but Zero's lost control of the roof, lost control of the high ground, and that hurts Falcons in a big way. Aurora get the reset. Lifeline ult on the outside. The numbers advantage. The numbers equality even slipping away from Falcons, as now 3v2 in the favor of Aurora. They want to finish off your third place team in the lobby. Kazakh gonna drop down. Misses almost every shot, but hits the last two, and Falcons go down.
Yeah, I mean, that was a okay fight, I guess. Huge, beautiful swing by Hal, although on low HP with the RE45 getting that 1 mag. However, letting them fully reset, especially with lifeline ult and everything. Zero used to have the roof but gave it up. Not too good from Falcons.
Yeah, it was spooky. It was spooky. Aurora get their bag. Na'Vi sitting on the inside right now, being besieged on all sides with Zidane already down. Maybe next up on the chopping block, 9 lies, not giving an inch. In fact, taking the whole mile. Na'Vi go down.
Playing early, however.
Corinthians?
9 lies getting thirded immediately by Corinthians.
This is really good timing. Corinthians can't afford to back away from this door by too much. They send Kings in, but actually giving up the fight is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they tried, got a little bit scared, it happens. Complexity, however, not scared, taking out heroes. Complexity on the cusp of making it with the cutoff currently sitting at 23 points. That will rise after this game. To what extent we can't see, as you know, depending on how many high teams above are absorbing points as compared to below. However, 3 kills at the start of the game is always a good snowball mechanic, hopefully, because you get more loot and you feel a little bit more confident.
Yeah, and confident in a way that hopefully suits you, hopefully gets you those 4 points. I do want to say a heartfelt goodbye to Zesty Besties, probably one of my favorite, my favorite team name at the tournament. Zesty Besties was awesome, but unfortunately are going to be eliminated now as they've been taken down in this final game and we're outside of the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody can't succeed at the same time. So we'll have to see if other teams can make that essentially dark horse run in this last game. It's not only a dark horse run in the lower bracket, you gotta make the dark horse run in this one last game, because Aurora need this game to be quite big.
YBR in a fight up against Envy, both these teams needing the points to qualify, but it's young Black Ricky that, should they be taken down here, will be eliminated in 20th. Having traded back onto Sykes. It's a mystery how this one's going to go. YBR still throwing haymakers, now taken down, dropped. But if YBR go down, we will not be seeing them again.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole part, is we can't catch every fight as well. That's especially super far out on the edge.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing, though, however, Zone is about to show for the next one. Will this pull more towards the east side of the beast? we'll have to see. A lot of playable area. We saw a fantastic play from Na'Vi before, and it looks very identical to the zone we have seen before in this tournament. I think this will be a great zone, because now teams that are stuck on edge are going to funnel through the chokes, most likely on the east side, will have to collapse.
It's a nice prediction, especially from a team like Corinthians. Sitting in 16th right now, a zone prediction like that, it could get you far. It could even get you into the top 10. Monster sitting just on the outside, 15th right now. Do need to survive this engagement over at Downed Beast, but with Atlas and Aurora in the area, this could be rough.
Yeah, I mean, Monster is just trying to survive, it feels like, as Atlas is playing right next to them. Nobody wants to play indoors, as Monster is actually moving out to take this fight to Atlas instead. I like this, but you're getting crossfire from Narnia, and he even goes down. This will open up the opportunity for Atlas to take the fight to them, as Aurora is pulling up from behind, looking to pinch if they can, feeling confident, maybe with double purple armor now and R9s in hand.
Aurora slowly but surely clawing their way up this leaderboard. Somebody's got to shut them down, as we know that in EMEA, they have been monsters. Looking for the fight right now. 9 Impulse not actually latching onto anything, but I think they've found their target. Atlas recovering, resetting on the inside. That is 3 players. This could be 3 KP for Aurora. 9 Impulse does back away just in time. Maggie Ball onto Tryhard, Thor, and G-Dolph. Will Oirain get shot in the back? Will he be picked off? No, he finds him just in time. Turns around, takes down G-Dolph. It's 2 KP for Aurora. Secured.
Great KPs for sure, but that ball, that's me right there, dude. You're throwing that into Narnia, that bounced straight back at his face. Unlucky, but they do get the KP and positioning. They're very happy because Atlas, if they didn't trade, this might not have happened, but they made it happen. And now, everything is slowly opening up for them.
And it is Aurora that desperately, like, if Aurora are going to make a run, it'll be a miracle run. Because what they need is far more than a few kill points here and there. 9 Lives overlooking this has got to make you nervous. They have been an exceptional squad during this elimination bracket, sitting at 6th right now, likely going to qualify. I'd be shocked if 9 Lives don't make it.
Yeah, they were probably the team right there we saw staring with the ADS, shooting at people with the 2-4 Rampy. That's the team in ranked I'm running at. You're shooting me from Narnia, I'm running straight at you. 9 Lives, however, feeling very comfortable in the donut, shooting at everybody, hoping to level up their evos, and then potentially 3-ping any fights that will happen near them.
Gaming Gladiators starting to move in through the bunkers. They do have Liquid Alienware at their backs. Aurora ape it into zone, and do not give Monster a fighting chance. That's one way to do it.
That is definitely one way to do it. You know, they didn't have too many points, and now getting eliminated, they might be looking to go home. But that's just the way it goes. Sometimes the tournament goes well, sometimes it doesn't go well.
And Monster will, in fact, be heading home. So from the elimination bracket, they, again, have had their moments. But we aren't going to be seeing them once more. Aurora are the team that actually in danger now, could be taken out down by FWG. What was that? Moving in on the Trident, FWG collect 3 much needed KP.
3 much needed KP indeed, as Aurora will be going home after this. Right now, FWG on the cusp of making it. We see it right there on the 11th spot, sitting at 23 points. They only need a couple more, but the hard part is majority of the teams left in this lobby are above them, so everything needs to align, or they need to make something happen.
Yeah, of the squads that actually in the top half have been eliminated, Na'Vi and Falcons, weirdly, throughout all of this have gone down. They aren't in danger of being taken out of the game, or rather out of the qualification, but not being here in the last game to at least participate, say hello to the teams that may be joining you, a little bit strange. TSM, also a squad that is in danger. They sit at 10th place right now. You can't afford to go down early if you are TSM, but YBR are hoping to make that happen. Nemesis halfway revved up. It's Black Road up on top. Could just beam someone, take him down. Nice crack on the shields right now, and Black Road decides to get a little bit aggressive. You got a numbers advantage. If you want to hold hands as YBR, you could likely swoop in and take out Skittlecakes.
Good nades right here from Young Hong Kong, swinging with the double beat when getting a fast down on Gent into Skittlecakes as well. They double swing, one through the door, one up the stairs, as Dupe is running away right now towards the tunnel. Great fight from them. And they were, I think, pretty far down low on the leaderboard. They're very happy with that. This has to be snowballing.
That's the hand-holding I was talking about. YBR being able to pick up those kills, like you said, from very far down, may yet be able to jump up the leaderboards. It's Envy, however, who want to secure their 9th place position, that are going to dip out towards them. Odd to see this move. Even emerging from the zone, Envy play slow, play quiet. You do not want YBR to notice you now.
I mean, seeing that as well in the top right corner, it was only 14 teams alive. Circle 3 closing pretty much is now, you know, a lot of space for the teams that are currently dominating in the area of the next zone even. They have so much space to push teams out as there's not that many teams alive. These fights will play out very differently. It's going to be fun to see here as Atlas is trying to survive under the tail of the beast.
And their spot actually going to age pretty well. Difficult to shoot Atlas from afar. So one problem that I'd have with Atlas's spot is that it's pretty easy to take an isolated 3v3 with them, especially with FWG right behind. We are promised a fight between these squads, or very nearly so, and neither of them are particularly safe. FWG really needing the points, and Atlas right now in 7th could still fall out of qualification.
FWGD holding their backs really well there against Complexity as they were trying to peek, but it doesn't seem like they're giving up as Envy is also rolling out a lot of teams very late into the zone now.
And that means that there are going to be 4 squads in checkpoint. Liquid Alienware is one, Envy, Complexity, and TSM as a solo are the others. Complexity have just run up against Liquid Alienware.
They have to funnel through the same choke, but it's not just one choke, it's also 2-3 teams on the other side of that choke. Will this fight play out? Will be very hard as everybody's going to try to rotate. One team wants to evac late over the mountain most likely, so the last team on this side will be happy, but when you have 4 teams nearby, anybody can join the fray.
Funk trading haymakers with Liquid, but you know Liquid, they're confident. They're starting to close the gap. Kurev actually managed to tag Kimchi with the overheat and drops down. Kurev wants to take the fight to Complexity, but it's instead a trade back. YBR go down, GG go down, and Complexity maybe going down to join them as it is just Funk that manages to run away in time. We'll see what his survivability is like on the Wraith, but it's Liquid Alienware that come out with the last lap in checkpoint.
I mean, that drop was crazy, but that's sometimes you need Crazy to start a fight. That was a great starter for them as they immediately wiped up 2 after, as Envy, however, walked earlier while all of that was happening behind them, potentially to get through the choke and other teams right now, as Complexity is down to Funk, last player on the team, trying to survive on Wraith.
130-30 shot would do him in. Envy on the low ground, collecting the bit of loot they managed to grab from Orkin. That was a crypto and drone 100%.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hambino. Sometimes it happens that way. Looking at Orchid, I don't think they're sweating too much. This game doesn't have a whole lot of necessary points for them. It is just about playing your best game of Apex.
Arnab, however, going through the engage, as we've seen several times so far, haven't been able to make a clean wipe so far, but they're still trying. I'm very happy to see that with the gold and purple armor. Nading, just the EMP, letting that util rip, and now they're walking back out because they're noticing that, hey, we can't fight right now, we gotta move.
And I like that they're playing conservatively. It's weird as well to see a fight that could have gone their way, now have them backing away from, because Arnab need these points just as much as Envy need them. Sitting in 9th right now, no one is safe. Liquid Alienware starting to take down Complexity, and we could be saying goodbye to Complexity right here. TSM start to take chunks out of Liquid Alienware as well.
TSM managed to get through as well through that same choke as somebody is behind them. Envy caught them on the cross, and now they're running for their lives.
9th place team could eliminate the 10th right now as Sykes dips into the zone, gets the shield swap on the run through, and continues towards TSM. But with now Envy being just eliminated, tragically, they're going to have to rely on other squads. TSM go down right next to them. That is your 9th and 10th place teams that will no longer be putting points on the board. Omit are going to fall as well. 7th place team now taken out. And you've got so many squads looking at this. Arnab unfortunately going to fall right now as they could have qualified, collecting a few more points. We're looking at FWG. We're looking at Complexity. We're looking at Corinthians as squads that could still make it. And Complexity, as I say it, they fall.
Yeah, Complexity falls, but FWG is still in it right now on top of the Beast Tail. Zone is pulling more towards the zone, towards the east side of the zone with the water and the rocks where Kings is currently playing. This is actually great, but Atlas playing in front of them. They must know that they're playing there with the Watson fences. They need to wipe that team before they can play anywhere else. Will they drop onto them?
That's another point for Corinthians. They are slowly but surely climbing up the leaderboards. 22 points with 26 being the cutoff for qualification. Corinthians, who have struggled through this lobby, but who individually have so much talent, they are now the last team remaining outside of the top 10.
If they win this game, they will qualify. They are holding on for their tournament life right now. They need to make sure that they're playing this space properly and denying people from walking in, but it'll be hard.
Let's take a very quick listen in with Corinthians, see what the Pride of Brazil is up to.
Tá? Foca vocês. Climbando. Errando o nade. Quebrei um. Tá no bunker. Passa bem Gucci agora. Passa bem Gucci. Deve Gucci. Balisque passando em cima. Balisque esquerda, tomou 70. Balisque esquerda no King. Busca ele. Calma, King. Tá solo, King. Touchou. Quebrei o drone. Boa. Hitou alguém, Bin. Não. Tão dentro do Mag saindo agora pro King. Balisque flash no King. Balisque flash. Vocês ganham. Quebra os dois. Fuck!
Corinthians are cut down outside of the top 10. We will be saying goodbye to them, and we will be crowning one last winner in this 6th game on Storm Point. 9 Lives running down Atlas, who are respawning as we speak. Can Atlas bring this back? Who knows? 9 Lives certainly in an advantage state, as right now Atlas get cut down one after another. 9 Lives, large and in charge, will be putting their signature on the elimination bracket that has claimed 10 teams so far. Black Venom drops down into his death, and 9 Lives take the win.
9 Lives fighting for a majority of this game. Very well played at that last fight that essentially won them the game against Corinthians right there. Made sure to have that EMP and run up with it. It doesn't matter if one of us gets down, we just need to make this cross to the rock. When it came down to that 3v3, they had better armor, they were stronger shooters in this fight, and they took them down and closed out that game.
My heart breaks, and at the same time, I can't help but be proud of what 9 Lives just accomplished.
Of course.
That's the duality of playing in the lower bracket, is watching teams be sent home and watching stories like 9 Lives continue to accrue momentum, as this was a really great game for 9 Lives to put them in the top 3, seeds them even better for the next bracket. You're right there alongside teams like Game & Gladiators, Liquid Alienware, and Falcons. 9 Lives placing above Falcons. Tell me that, Les Land. I call you a liar.
Yeah, I mean, people might have been doubting, but they showed up when it mattered. They could close out those games, and they performed really well. Now, we can't even say at this point now, you know, oh, it's in the lower bracket. Everybody that is still left in this tournament is very, very strong. And some of the teams that were even considered the strongest are going home.
Yeah, I am surprised that we're saying goodbye to teams like Aurora, even like Heroes, Complexity as well, TSM eliminated, Corinthians. I really held out hope for them till the end, and on paper, this squad coulda, shoulda, woulda done a lot better, and I'm hoping that they manage to come back for future tournaments and show us what the squad is all about, because Corinthians do have a lot of promise, especially in South America.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. That's something every team feels like, you know, we could have won that, we should have won that, and then, you know, we fell a little bit short. However, other teams, on the positive note, very happy making it through to the cut, going into the next round, potentially taking a small break to revamp a little bit and energize to make it on.
Omit, one of those teams, can be very proud of what they've accomplished today. RKN continues with Cody and Sang, who are writing their own stories in the ALGS here at the Open. We've got so many players, so many fans coming together to celebrate these players, and of course welcome a few of them into the audience as well, because you do want to watch the best Apex Legends in the world right now. 9 Lives Esports close out that game. It is 29 points for them. A 17-kill game should really be showing you what this squad is all about.
And this is the scary part about, you know, having this cutoff system, is that they soaked up so many kill points there that could have gone other ways. They could have pushed one team in just off of 1 or 2 or 3 kill points, but 9 Lives dominating that game, might I say.
Yeah, Atlas also having a pretty aggressive game. I wouldn't say that necessarily in terms of the kills, but what I'm looking at is their positioning. It was very proactive around down Beast, and managed to defend that position when we actually brought up doubts around whether they'd be able to do it. FWG sliding into qualification, though, by the skin of their teeth.
They made it just right on time. At any time, if you make it, it's on time. TSM, however, fell a little bit short right there. Complexity as well, as we saw. All of these teams were close, I would say, above the 20-point marker.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see X and Y eliminated this early as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of teams that we're going to be saying goodbye to today, tomorrow. That's just the reality of Apex Legends. That's the reality of the ALGS Open as we continue discovering the best talent up here, whether it be this meta, perhaps for the future. It's been a fantastic couple of games just to start off the day, and we have now said goodbye to 10 teams. I'd love to hear a little bit more insight on that, though, as I'm sure we got opinions on the desk.
Yeah, no opinions here. Actually, we're just relaxing.
We're right.
This is the best seat in the entire venue for us to sit in. Actually, it's not.
It's
I mean,
great.
it's true.
Great. It's quite comfy.
It's quite comfy. We get all the action here, and we're happy now to relax with you. So, if you're watching at home, maybe you guys throw a question out there. Maybe we'll answer that. Just kidding. We do have a lot to talk about, and one of the main things about it, Rainday, Gaskin, and Jamerson here for now to kind of download after that is to look at a team that's had a lot of success, but not success that's been so overt. 8th in Pro League, currently this 9 Lives team that you had picked yesterday. This is a team with experience. Vane coming from his LAN experience with Oxygen Esports, bringing that into somebody who's been in Pro League before and Challenger Circuit and made a name for himself in McLovin and Cersei, and trying to really create this team that now, while they have some of these pieces with talent, can put it together. This is a great showcase for what they can do coming 3rd in this elimination round.
Yeah, and they were very close to staying in the winner's bracket as well. We have to remember that. They were 11th or 12th in the end when they got knocked down. And to then show that same kind of courage in an elimination game where your back's against the wall and you will be out of the tournament, I think that they are a team that we have to keep an eye on through the rest of this elimination run. No reason why they can't get to the grand final if they're playing that way.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the stats from this last series, especially with our top finishing team, Gaming Gladiators. Jamerson, this team was on a roll.
Yeah, they came out the gate swinging, and it was almost looking reminiscent to our Germany finals, where they hit match point in 3 games. It was absolutely absurd. Back-to-back victories, and in big ways too, right? When we talk about big games, a 20-kill game with the 12 KP, that's massive. But they went even further in game number 2, 15 kills there. And so, yeah, it's great to see that Gaming Gladiators were able to put on that aggression.
It's unbelievable, really, too, when you look at Gaming Gladiators and kind of the turnaround that we've seen. In fact, you might say that there had to be some discussion, maybe some analytical conversation on what they can do better, because this is a team we expect to always be in the conversation to win LAN. They dropped to elimination round, but now it seems like they found their rhythm. And I'm sure a person who knows all about that, maybe even had something to do with that, is their coach, Luke. Luke, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you as well. And I mean, we're enjoying kind of watching these games. I've enjoyed seeing kind of the turnaround in my eyes from Gaming Gladiators. You have a smile on. Talk to me about what's been going on these last couple of days.
So, obviously these lobbies are, at least from my POV, they're probably the hardest LAN I've ever been to. It's much harder to predict, especially for a team like us that we are able to brute force, but that's not really what we play for. To see us pinched from teams that should never be in the spots they are is kind of hard, and it took us a bit to adapt. We also didn't. Obviously, we made mistakes yesterday. I'm not denying that. I'm fully aware, and the boys are fully aware. We talked about it. We obviously fixed it. Today, we should have had even more points. We kind of let something go, but it's fine. We have 12 more to go for the rest of the day, so saving up energies.
And of course, it's 4 maps you've got to compete on as well. E-District looked comfortable. Storm Point looks very good for you guys. Is there a worry that Broken Moon and World's Edge maybe is not the best for you, or are you confident on all 4 maps?
So obviously confident on all maps. If I had to pick a map where I'm maybe a bit less confident, is Broken Moon. Not much because of us, but because I know for a fact that there's a lot of teams that don't understand how the map works.
Yep. Yeah.
And
that's true.
I don't want to be caught next to them.
It's like, stay away from me.
Yeah.
Well, let's walk through a couple of the early maps where you guys got your wins. 3 wins across these 6 games. It's unbelievable to showcase the, I think, adjustments you made. We see teams in this lobby that wanted to make adjustments. They didn't. Walk me through how you guys started so strong here, starting with match 1.
Well, obviously we got zone on us, so great. Okay, we got zone. That's a starter. But I think they just did an amazing job in defending their spot. They never let go of the actual prio, which is just staying alive. Like, we know that we're gonna get swarmed. We just need to make sure that everyone stays out and dies outside while we stay alive. Like, we don't need to overpick anything. Right. I think Blast went down at once, and it wasn't even a bad pick. Like, he just died behind the door. It happens, unlucky, but the rest we played perfect, I think.
And obviously this finishes off. You guys close things out here. But, you know, Blast is a guy that, how much does your success hinge on how well he plays? What do you think, Luke?
33%. Like,
really? It's just an even match, yeah.
Like, the reason at least I think the reason you see us have, like, we have high highs and low lows, I think the reason for that is because our team structure is built on coordination and cooperation a lot, like very heavily. And so when someone is having a bad day, we feel it more than usual.
Yeah.
Like, we are very good individually, but we trust each other a lot and we work off of each other a lot.
Yeah.
So it's rough to adapt sometimes.
You definitely did not hesitate in answering that, which is great. You guys have a very strong mentality as a team, and you obviously, as their coach, keeping them towards where you want to go, even if sometimes the games take you in different directions and you're playing against teams that are running at you faster, playing maps that they shouldn't. In game 2, how did you guys handle this one? Walk us through your perspective here.
Oh, we're the best team in the world at calling zone. So, like, we just call zone, and like, I know
and the most humble, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. No, I know I might sound cocky, but it's either us or I don't know, Navi's good or Falcons. Like, it's these teams. Like, there's nobody else.
No, this one in particular was interesting because you guys had an opportunity to go further, further into the ring, right? But you guys actually pulled and held on the north side of the zone. Why was that decision made?
Well, I have to think how much I can say.
Clever.
So, yeah. With stuff that we've studied, obviously with data that we've studied, there were 2 spots where the zone could end, this ring could end, and at the end of the day, like, zone calling is gambling. That's how it goes, and we just made the best bet based on the data that we had. It was, I don't know, I would say it was 65-35, the chance of it going in either spots, and it went where we gambled on.
That's beautiful, man. Sometimes you put yourself in the right position. You know, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and you guys have certainly taken your opportunity.
100%.
Moving on. Still more to play. It's a lot to keep going in that elimination round. You do not get out of it until you make Championship Sunday. So we will be seeing Gaming Gladiators later tonight, hopefully, and playing to get their way into the championship. Right now, though, we're standing by with Lace, who's got an update for us in the pit. Lace, what's been going on over there?
Yes, thank you. Things are getting a little bit crazy here in the pit, but I want to quickly take you through exactly what has happened in the standings, because it is make or break for a fair few teams today. You know, we were sort of touching on Virtus Pro in the first 3 matches, and we're a little bit nervous for them. However, in match 4, they did something absolutely crazy to bring them to that 3rd spot. And of course, rival esports FaZe Clan still sitting on top, as well as Lonely Let Go, and they were sort of hovering around that 14th, 15th position when we last spoke. But again, the 3 matches, that's all they needed to push them into that top 10 spot, which has been an excellent feat from them. Look, unfortunately, Enter Force, you know, one of our teams that did perform in Japan at LAN, did struggle a little bit here, along with LG in 12th position. And look, Team Ronin as well, we've touched on them a fair bit as well. Kind of felt a little bit of the heat in the kitchen for that one, guys. But we do want to take you over to one of the teams that have been, you know, doing a fantastic job during our series here. And I have Ryan standing here with Paro from Kinotrope.
Yes, indeed. It's been an absolutely exciting and eclectic set of matches in the elimination lobby, with Kinotrop Gaming culminating at the top 10, making the cut. And I've got the IGL Pero standing by with me. And I want to talk to him a little bit about how he feels coming through that. Of course, a lot of clutch gameplay. They haven't been together for a long time as a team, so I want to talk to him a little bit about that. And also his legend selection and his confidence moving forward. So let me just quickly switch to Japanese for that. こんにちは。ですね。まずおめでとうございます。ですね、チームそんなに長い間組んでなくて3、4ヶ月間ぐらいで、今までの連携プレーはいかがでしょうか？
今まではそうですね、結構まだちょっと連携不足な部分があって、負けが結構目立ってますね。でもどんどん成長していっていると思います。
So I asked him how he feels about the team's performance and how they're, cooperating, what the synergy looks like. And he just said that, to be honest, there are some holes, there are some things he's not comfortable with. You could clearly see he wasn't smiling about that question. And he just says that, from now it's about progress, it's about being positive, moving forward and leveling up from here. So, ですね、世界中の唯一のロバ使いなので、アルタと入荷数なしでいかがでしょうか？
オルタそうですね、ローバでも全然戦えますね。
全然、なんでですか？
もともと僕らのムーブ、動き方がやっぱりリングの中に入っていくムーブなんですけど、当然物資が弱くなってしまうじゃないですか、外のチームと比べて。それをローバのブラックマーケットを使ってケアパッケージ武器を取ってアドバンテージをなくす。で有利なファイト、こっちもアーマー強くて武器も強いっていう状況に持っていけるんで、そこが強くていいと思います。
結構長かったですね、答えが。So I asked him, he's the only Loba user, and I asked him, what his thoughts are on not going with like Alta or Newcastle. And he just mentioned that although there were some areas where she isn't as strong as before, that using her weapons really well, using her movement really well, he's able to kind of make up the differences in what he felt she was lacking. And in the freedom of being able to use Loba, he said that the others are so strong that he can't really find a combination that works well for Loba. And also because the team hasn't been together that long, he's not as confident with certain combinations of legends that they would actually like to use down the line once the synergy gets a lot better. で、これから上がっていく自信はいかがでしょうか？
もちろんあります。
I asked him if he's confident for moving forward, and he said he is indeed. And I think that's it for right now. So that's Pedro from Kinotrop Gaming. And I always think it's nice to shine a light on the APAC North teams and just give them a bit of the limelight to strut their stuff and show what that community is all about. There's going to be more from Lace and myself later on, but for now, it's back to the host. Take it away.
In true fashion, arigatou gozaimasu, Ryan, and of course Yuka.
That was good.
Spent a little time in Sapporo recently. I don't know if you guys tracked that, but it was fun to see also up here Luke talk a little bit about Gaming Gladiators. Ben, you weren't here for it, but I want your thoughts on GG taking the win here early on.
I mean, it's a great place for them to be in, especially as they've improved. It was we were standing off in the corner before he came on an interview, and he came to me and goes, "Man, it's crazy when the lobby starts getting competitive. Wow, we start to do well." So you can tell he's in a little bit of a comfort zone. It was even more interesting too because the first thing he said as well was, "Hey, who else got eliminated?" And we pointed it out between the ALGS and the other bracket, Noahs, etc., because he's already preparing for that next step. The fact that they have to move on to that elimination round where they have to still compete to go up against those other winners later on who will be knocked down. That's a total of 12+ games today that they have to make their way through.
You had some thoughts on the interview, by the way, before we move on.
I enjoyed how he was talking about Broken Moon, and he was basically saying he hates Broken Moon because of the other teams and how they're going to play. He doesn't want to be anywhere near them because you don't know what they're going to do. I feel the same way about Zephyr, and that's really why I'm not usually on the couch, and I just try and stay casting.
That's also why they put me right here to the buffer zone between the two. I am the DMZ right now.
I mean, there's some good evidence for why you should be worried. You could get hot sauce spilled on you for one thing, and we're all wearing white white pants. So that's the reason that the only person not doing it is sitting next to Zeph. Let's go ahead and give you some info on what's been happening not only across this main stage, which we just saw to remind you, Gaming Gladiators taking the win with 85 points. Liquid Alienware right behind. A big showcase for Liquid Alienware, a team that we're used to seeing the departure of Yanya going to NRG, working well for them, still in the winner's side of things, which will be coming up later, but it's good to see the old boys of Niazul and obviously the addition of Kurev doing very, very well. Nine Lives Esports 3, and of course Falcons rounding out that with Team Orchid, who continue to make it through. Rambo running up a storm. But obviously in the pit, we also had some games that were going on, so we want to transition to show you a little bit of that in our upcoming series results. This was where Rival Esports, after 6 of 6 guys, were able to take the top spot.
It was very good. It was the team that we highlighted, notably alongside Team Nemesis back in the earlier rounds. So no surprise there. Big turnaround, though, for VP. That's the big one I want to point out. Last time we had checked in with them coming off of halftime, they were, I believe, in 17th or 18th. So a huge switch up as we approach that next map.
And particularly looking at VG and Annex Esports in the rounds earlier, they were doing extremely well. But now that these lobbies are filling out with tougher and tougher opponents, they are starting to see a little bit of a slide in performance, but you know, that might have just been the maps. We'll see if they can try and rebuild on that momentum they had in the earlier rounds to stay alive.
And we just lost to LG.
Yeah, we
Danish,
did.
Reject. I mean,
that's crazy.
Massive teams getting eliminated.
Yeah.
This is before we even get to the elimination semifinals.
And these 10 teams right here on the left side will be playing against those 10 teams that just dropped out of this, that just won in our elimination round here. So you'll be seeing those squads like GG going up against Rival, against FaZe, against Virtus Pro. So that will be the test to see who can make it into our elim finals tonight. Coming up on main stage, though, we will have the winners final at around 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Elimination round 5 will be playing alongside that with the pit, so stay tuned for updates. Maybe catch a little bit of it on the B stream, but we will keep you up to date with who ends up making it, because we're going to find out soon which 10 teams are booking their spot to Championship Sunday. It's been an amazing one, guys. If you want to stay tuned with all that we do, make sure to follow Play Apex Esports at YouTube if you're watching live, twitch.tv/PlayApex if you're watching us there. Make sure to follow, and also Play Apex Esports on X. That is where you get all the up-to-date information, all the memes, all the GIFs, all the moments that you might have missed. To stay tuned with what's happening here at the Open. It's day 3. We are 1 series done out of 3. When we come back in just a little bit, it's time to book your ticket to the final. So do not go anywhere. We'll see you in a bit for more action.
Point that we... If you want me, come and get me, cause I'm right here and I ain't wanna back down. The main attraction, and I'm about that action front and center, never in the background. What you looking at is greatness, not temporary, never makeshift. Guys, 101! Nice! Over choosing fakeness. When I was down, I had to rise up. Moving forward with my eyes up. That's the limit, you know what's the top of the I'm not the one that's
Gladiator do it again. Going for the style shot to finish it off.
Oh, they're feeling themselves. He misses it again. It's fine. It's for the style points. It's just for the style points, because you know that Gaming Gladiators with their position. In off the high ground, looking at Monsu before sliding in with the dash on Zero. Look at this. The Zero Hal team up. Finding Bugs, finding Kishu. He's on Wolsey with the Bowtech earlier before.
You in the south. Arms up. That's good shit.
And Falcons are your Game 3 winners.
Game.
But he missed 3v3. It is Liquid Alienware. They're left untouched.
Only goal is to win. Put up a fight to the end. Make your next move, be your best move. Gotta do what you can.
That's exactly that. He's swinging with the charge. Doing a billion damage. And Liquid Alienware with the numbers advantage comes down. Smoke and take out TSM. Black Venom drops down into his death, and 9 lives take the win.
When the victory's on the line, you can't. If I want it, you know it's mine, don't try to. I'm eating that crunch time, you'll never. You can't. You can't. When the victory's on the line, you can't. If I want it, you know it's mine, don't try to. I'm eating that crunch time, you'll never. You can't. You can't.
Timmy, what's up?
Not much, Hal. Time for New Orleans. Ready for this tournament?
I was born ready.
You want Jump Master, or should I take it?
Hey, how about I take it?
Sounds good to me.
Hey guys! Guys! Hey, wait up! I missed my flight! I just got my carry-ons though. It was a whole thing. I just brought my carry-ons. Can I come with you? What's going on?
Well, at least you packed light.
All right, let's go. Next stop, New Orleans.
Not even sure where New Orleans is. Guys? Guys? We're gonna get there on time. Woo! Okay.
I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down. I want it now and I ain't never gonna back down. Rise up, I want it now, I gotta rise up.
God, they jumped. I guess New Orleans is straight down? Is it west? God, never the jump master. I don't know. Wait, where are we? What about my luggage?
Oh my God! I reached the pinnacle. I don't have time, this is critical. It's time to finish it.
Will Go Next get the chance here to win this whole damn thing?
Go Next now. See the bubbles go down and they send the Catwall down as well. They split the zone. They completely own this side.
They might force the fight, force VB. Now it's
the slam for VP, but Go Next will hold. Zidane, it's Sykes looking to claim their destiny, but it's Go Next.
In that moment, I was speechless. I couldn't believe that we won. It feels like everything we grinded for, it paid off, all the work. It's just a great feeling that I will never forget. And making it a back-to-back, we know we are the best team in the world. We are the world champions, so they should be concerned about us, not the other way around.
Anything except a win is a loss in my book, so I just want to bring out the trophy for ALGS.
The previous chance to outperform them to be the #1 EU team now again. We're looking forward to that.
In year 4, I didn't really get to show myself that well. We did not do good at LAN, and I think that with the current team I have, that anything is possible.
I think our team's only goal is to win and nothing else.
Closest I would say is Alliance. A little bit of a rivalry going on there. GG Alliance. Kind of want to beat them. It'd be pretty funny.
For people who don't know who I am, I was a CC player for so long. Being one of the 160 teams to win would honestly be an insane underdog story.
If I was able to win, that little ego I'd have inside me would just be insane.
I mean, I couldn't imagine what it would feel like just to win the LAN in general for Apex.
What made me get into competitive Apex was watching TSM win. So winning at 160 team LAN would kind of just put myself in the shoes of how Hal and his boys won almost 6 years ago now.
I'm also